Funding for Shaperless is provided by
Squarespace, the sponsor of today's video. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mario character popularity poll. Okay, so to be totally honest, this fully came about because I really like this one video from Fither, every Persona character ranked by popularity. He basically held a poll where people voted on who their favorite Persona characters were, and then he just went through the results and talked about all the characters included. To me, it's just a really fun and satisfying video to watch over and over. Just going through this journey of who's the least popular Persona character versus who's the most popular, and sort of seeing where different characters stack up next to each other. Eventually, I had an epiphany where I realized, you know what? I want to make a video exactly like this with another franchise I really like. Because I think this is just such a conceptually cool idea that a lot more people should get to participate in and experience. So I thought, okay, what do I like? Nintendo. What if I did the most popular Nintendo characters? Then I realized that was way too broad, and it would be hard to figure out what even counted in a lot of cases. So I narrowed my scope a little bit and realized, what about just the Mario series? Like, that definitely seemed narrow enough to get some good results, but also broad enough to the point where I'd get some really interesting responses. Because Mario is, like, huge and all-encompassing, right? We're talking about the entire franchise here, so not just the Mario games, but the Donkey Kong games, the Yoshi games, the Wario games. And that's not even mentioning every other kind of media, like the animated movie, the live-action movie, the old cartoons, and so many other obscure, insane little things that Mario has done throughout his incredibly long, wacky history. The only thing I specifically discouraged people from voting for were characters in Smash Bros. I feel like that's definitely its own separate thing from Mario. And I didn't want to see a whole bunch of, oh, the Wii Fit Trainer is the best Mario character ever because she appears in Smash. Nah, I wanted to solely stick to stuff that's officially within the Mario universe. Basically, for the most part, if it's on the Super Mario Wiki, it's fair game, was my reasoning. With the exception of characters who only meet Mario through Smash, of course. So basically, I held a poll asking people to vote for their 5 favorite Mario characters. This is the same way it was done in the Persona video, and I just generally like that method because it gives more obscure characters, or characters who aren't people's #1 favorite, way more chances to be voted for. I had the poll open for a week, and then I closed it so I could really start combing through the results with my friend Jonathan, who you might remember from that time I sniped him with a Bob-omb on Big Blue in what was perhaps my sickest victory in Mario Kart history. Ultimately, this poll had 32,687 people vote in it, with over 13,000 unique characters voted for, which is pretty staggering. So we basically spent an entire month combing through the results and using some Excel functions he whipped up to categorize each vote. Because I kind of lied when I said 13,000 unique characters. It was actually 13,000 unique responses, with some of those responses being misspellings of certain character names, or people adding in parentheses why they voted for the character they did. So if you did that, it was cute, but I'm sorry to say it made our job a lot harder and longer since we had to manually go through and categorize all these votes under the right character they were actually for. I also did not count any singular votes for 2 different characters separated with a slash. Well, like, that's voter fraud. You don't get to do that. Anyway, it was a pretty long and grueling process, but eventually we whittled it down to 2,618 unique characters, many of which only got 1 vote and are also not Mario characters. We got a bunch of comedians to deal with, oh boy. So yeah, I'm not going to be reading off every single character who got a vote. In fact, I'm not going to be reading off all the names until we get to, like, the characters with at least 20 votes, because otherwise this video will be even longer than it already clearly is. I think I'll just do a little montage and have them scroll across the screen or whatever for the characters with less than 20 votes. But I'll definitely talk about a couple of them who I find pretty interesting. Oh, and I should mention before we get into this, different forms of characters like Fire Mario or Ice Luigi were counted separately than regular Mario and Luigi, since, like, in a lot of games, different forms of characters are their own slot on a roster. So whatever, I let the votes for them as their own individual people stand. And the same is true for, like, Red Yoshi or Light Blue Shy Guy. If you voted for specifically that color, then it's a specifically that color vote. Lastly, I'm also going to have the video edited in a pretty simple manner compared to my other videos. It'll just be the character and the number of votes they got on screen. This is pretty similar to how the Persona video was edited. Just want to let you know, I'm citing my sources here and being upfront that I'm basically borrowing that entire format for this video. It'll also be a little looser scripted than usual for me, in the sense that I did write a script, but it's a bit more of a discussion based on these results, rather than a full-on analysis, obviously. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get a glimpse of some of the characters who only received 1 vote. There are a lot of them, so some of them will not be included here. Sorry. Let's go.
Pornography that gets you hot!
It would be so awesome.
Wow, what a journey that was. Anyway, now for the characters with 2 votes. You know what? There's still way too many of these guys. I'm just gonna do another montage. just wanted to give a special shout out to Chum Chucker Charlie, which is an enemy from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, who just has the best name I think I've ever seen in anything. I might have also skewed the results a little bit, because we really only got one genuine vote for Chum Chucker Charlie. The second vote came from a friend of mine in a Discord call, who heard me talking about how great he was, so he voted for him under the name Cum Chucker Charlie. You know what? We count that. Anyway, moving on to the 3-vote characters. I think maybe I'll do one more montage of these jokers, and then I can just have them scrolling on screen from 4 votes on. Alright, 3-vote people time. Don't really have too much to say. I think some characters are a little surprising how low they scored, like Claptrap. You'd think being an assist trophy in Smash would give him a little more attention, but I guess not. Then there's Green Sprixie Princess, who you might know from her iconic playable appearance in Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Chained Kong, a prisoner of war, is also surprising to see here. I thought the memes would carry him a little bit. Pee-wee Piranha, for being the first boss of Mario Galaxy 2, did pretty awful. But then again, I don't really think anyone remembers him compared to Dino Piranha. It's nice to see Pen Guru from Mario Galaxy get a couple votes. And I have to say, it's probably most surprising here that Joe Biden only got 3 votes. Like, damn, you'd think he'd do a little better considering he got 81 million votes in the last election. Like, wow, did he really fall off. Last but not least, I want to give special mention to Carbon. This is a variant of Koops from a poorly translated version of Thousand Year Door entitled Book of Mario Thousands of Doors. It's like the backstroke of the West of Thousand Year Door. Carbon's ultimate goal is to kill all fathers because of how much he hates his father. This game is a trip. You really gotta watch a playthrough of it. Alright, moving on to the characters who received 4 votes. These ones I'll just have scroll while I talk about some of them. Shout out to Uncle Amiibo from Mario Odyssey, the iconic Sidestepper enemy, Dick Gumshoe from Ace Attorney, who does not count for the purposes of this list, Baby Waluigi, who is not a real character in any game, Mamechi, the Tamagotchi, who appears in Mario Kart Arcade GP, Top Maniac, who might be the easiest boss in a video game ever, Lord Frederick, who is the main villain of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, who, for such an iconic and amazing game, it's truly incredible how little people care about its main villain. Let's see, we got the Toad from Thousand Year Door who likes Fire Emblem, Shy Gal, who again is not a real Mario character, the Wario apparition, which needs no explanation, and Obi-Wan Toady, which is a Toad parody of Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. See, that's the kind of response I was really happy to get, because before doing this poll, I had no idea this character existed. I really learned a lot about how weird the Mario series is by putting this together. And then, next up are the 5-vote characters, including Koopa Koot, the annoying old man with the endless side quests in Paper Mario 64, Sephiroth, who is famous for his appearances in the Mario and Luigi series, Sushi from Paper Mario 64, who might be the least popular partner from that game. I'm not surprised, honestly. Famous Mario character Bill Gates, who appears in the February 1996 broadcast of that, where he explains Windows 95 to Toad and Mario. Inspector Gadget, who appears in the Super Show, so he is legally a Mario character. Eddie the Mean Old Yeti from the Donkey Kong cartoon. Indiana Joe from the Super Show. Rango and Spewert, who are those fuck-ass rabbit bosses from Mario Odyssey, nobody remembers. The Sweater from I Am a Teacher Super Mario Sweater. I'm not gonna explain that one, you look it up, I don't have all day. And the Judge Pianta, who is described by one person as the judge of that kangaroo court from Mario Sunshine. What a roster we got here. With 6 votes, we have such icons as Reznor, the boss that just consists of 4 rhinos that you hit a block to instantly kill. Fluzzard, the gliding bird from Mario Galaxy 2. I like him, but I feel like most people forgot about him. Dr. Dolphin, which is a dolphin, but also a doctor from Dr. Mario World. The floating Mario head from Mario Teaches Typing, and also various YouTube poops. Grover Cleveland, who I believe was in Mario Tennis Ultra Smash or something. Vector, who I assume is famous Mario character Vector the Crocodile from the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series. But, you know, he could also just be Vector from Despicable Me, I have no idea. And of course, Adolf Hitler, who is canon to the Mario series because Luigi read a book about him one time. This is technically an eligible character for this ranking. Make of that what you will. Next up with 7 votes is a comparatively smaller group, which consists of characters like Junior Troopa from Paper Mario, Male Toad from Galaxy 2, Mr. Eraser from Mario Maker, Gringill, I assume it was that Mario Fish ranking guy who inspired those votes, Charles Martinet, and Shigeru Miyamoto, Toad Circuit, a fat shy guy who is canonically called Fat Guy, Conker from Conker's Bad Fur Day, who is technically eligible because he appears in Diddy Kong Racing, therefore making him a Mario character. And of course, iconic Mario characters LeBron James, Walter White, and Peter Griffin. Now with 8 votes, we have classics like Leo Luster, Banjo, who also appears in Diddy Kong Racing and is therefore a Mario character, Beldum, who I refuse to believe anyone actually likes, but I guess 8 people do, Mario specifically from the Illumination movie, the Doomsday Apparatus from Pikmin 2, wow, you guys are so funny, Sans Undertale, wow, you guys are so funny, Goro Akechi, wow, you guys, actually no, I'll let that one slide. And one of my personal favorite characters to discover when making this video, the old psychic lady with the evil eye who reads fortunes and knows everything before it happens. That is a real character from the Super Show, and yes, that is her full legal name. I was shocked by this. I thought they were just referring to Madame Clairvoyant from Luigi's Mansion, who coincidentally also got 8 votes herself. But yeah, no, different character. I really gotta watch the Super Show sometime, because clearly some wacky shit was going on in it. Next up with 9 votes, we have characters like Helen Gravely, or Gravely, I don't know, from Luigi's Mansion 3. Flint Cragley from Super Paper Mario, who despite being an extremely minor character, has a trophy in Smash Bros. For Wii U for some reason. That's genuinely the only reason I remember he exists. We also have Candy Kong, not really doing all that well, surprisingly. A couple of Mario Party hosts like Twyla and Tumble, though my friends all just call him Tumblr. Fedora Kong, Boomer, which is the real name of one of the partners from Super Paper Mario, none of which really did all that well, unsurprisingly. Boo-Hoo, which is one of the regular Boos from Luigi's Mansion. I'm not sure why this one in particular got so many votes. The Colored Pencils from Origami King. Grand Dad, the Toad from Thousand Year Door who gets a divorce. Barack Obama, who again really fell off. Like, I remember him getting a lot more votes the last time he was in an election. And Louie from Pikmin. That piece of shit just keeps popping up places. Moving on to the 10 vote characters, the double-digit boys and gals. We have the Angry Sun, Lackluster from Paper Mario, Love Bee from Super Paper Mario, Pat the Bat from Hotel Mario, iconic Mario character Dr. Eggman from Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Rayman, Wario Amiibo, Toru Adachi, and Blue Mario, which I'm pretty sure is referring to the mysterious referee from Mario Tennis on the N64, who only appears if you're playing as Mario. And he's literally just Mario but blue. Who is this guy, Nintendo? I need answers. On to some characters with 11 votes. We have Kiddy Kong, Bogmire, famous Mario character Black Mage, who appears in Mario Hoops 3-on-3 and Mario Sports Mix, though I mainly remember him from Smash Flash 2. The Gourmet guy from Paper Mario, and of course, Marty, the mysterious thwomp who's locked up in Bowser's Castle in Mario Kart 64. Free my man Marty, he did nothing wrong. With 12 votes, we have Mario specifically from Hotel Mario, Chuck Quizmo, the Penguin Coach from Mario Galaxy, Professor Frankly, the Nintendog, who I didn't know this, but that's actually the name of the dog who appears in Odyssey. It's just a Nintendog, so that's a pretty cute reference. And of course, Wah Peach, the mysterious scrapped Mario Tennis character who is meant to be Peach's evil counterpart. Maybe they'll bring her back one day. Some of the 13 vote characters include Goku, Jolene, Don-chan, who appears in Mario Kart Arcade GP 2, Pac-Man, who appears in both Mario Kart arcade games, and I'm surprised he didn't get more votes. I Am a Teacher, Super Mario Sweater. Again, just look that up yourself. I don't have energy to get into that. The letter P, which is a key item in Thousand Year Door, the Womp King, and Dreamy Luigi. Though, I don't know about you guys, but I think regular Luigi is Dreamy Luigi. With 14 votes, we have characters like Sombrero Guy, Mike from WarioWare, King Ollie, Cortez, Smithy, the main character of Jujutsu Kaisen. I really gotta watch that sometime. And who could forget the greatest Mario character ever, Penis Man. Editor, please do not Google a picture to put in for that. Some of the 15 vote characters include Megaleg, one of the coolest bosses in Mario Galaxy, Motley Boss Blob, which is just one of the greatest names for a boss I've ever heard, Undo Dog from Mario Maker, famous Mario character Knuckles the Echidna from the Mario and Sonic series, obviously, Baby Pink Gold Peach, who is not real but technically appears as a statue in the Mario Kart 8 version of Baby Park. Wow, you guys are so funny voting for her. Baby Donkey Kong, who is a real character and got the exact same amount of votes as a statue. And of course, the Hell Valley Sky Trees from Mario Galaxy 2. What are these things? Why are they staring at us? I don't know, man, but this is one of the first creepypasta-esque things in a video game that really intrigued me as a kid. Like, I would just stare at them for hours and I got scared that they were gonna come get me or something. Good times, good times. With 16 votes, we only have a couple. In fact, I think I could start reading all of them off now. There's Bob-omb Buddy, Pikmin, which a lot of people pointed out do appear in a small cameo in Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. So yes, they are canon to Mario. White Shy Guy, Colorado, who's a pretty fun and memorable side character from the original Paper Mario. Famous Mario character Miles Tails Prower from the Mario and Sonic series. Friendly Floyd from the Super Mario Adventures comic. And King Caliente, one of my personal favorite bosses in Galaxy. I really love this guy and I wish he'd come back. I also wanted to mention that I checked how many votes Prince Picante, the spiritual successor / potential son of King Caliente who appeared in Galaxy 2, got. And not a single one of you voted for Prince Picante. For shame. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I don't really blame you. Moving on to 17 vote characters, we have Green Mario, which I'm sure some of you were being cheeky and using this to say Luigi, but I'm counting those as votes for Green Mario. You get what you asked for. 17 votes for Mario wearing green. Then, of course, we have Super Mario, which again is different from normal Mario. This is the super form of him after he eats a super mushroom. Sometimes I really hate this series and its naming conventions. We also got Baby Wario, Big Top the Hat from Mario Party 8, Edge, Captain Olimar, who is technically a scrapped character from Superstar Saga, so he exists outside of Smash in this universe. Joker Persona 5, who as far as I know is not a scrapped Superstar Saga character, Scuttlebug, Dr. Crygor, Scissors from Origami King, and Tamatoa. That's not a Mario character, you goofballs. Though neither is Joker, I guess. Next up with 18 votes, we have Bidybud, Glydon, Chuckya, Mushbert, Toasterinin, the first Goomba who appears in 1-1, which normally I didn't really count specific unnamed versions of enemies or toads like this, but this is an exception. Like, we gotta give the very first Goomba you ever encounter its flowers. And finally, we have Luigi Mario. which was the name I gave for Luigi specifically from the 1993 live-action Mario movie. Yep, he do be Luigi Mario for sure. Now for the 19-vote characters, they include Cat Mario, King Bill, Plum from Mario Golf, Fire Bro, Connie, who appears in the currently not yet released Mario and Luigi Brotherhood. We only know about her from trailer footage so far, so I hope her character doesn't suck when we get our hands on the game. Bert the Bashful, Hole Punch from Origami King, and of course, Anthony Scapelli from the live-action 90s Mario movie. I have not seen it yet, but I think it's pretty funny that he is a more popular character from that movie than Luigi. Alright, before we continue on with the poll, I want to talk about something that nobody voted for, sadly, but I still feel obligated to tell you guys about it. It's Squarespace. Squarespace is an amazing online website builder that enables you to create beautiful websites for your business or personal hobby. You can utilize their new design intelligence features to build an amazing, more personalized website tailored to your unique needs, allowing you to create your own digital identity you can use across your entire online presence. Squarespace makes it easy to sell all sorts of things like online courses, blogs, videos, and memberships. Put your content behind a paywall to get recurring revenue. Simply set the price and choose whether to charge a one-time fee or subscription for access. Plus, you can easily manage all your payments in one place with Squarespace Payments. It's super quick and easy. You can get started in just a few clicks and start receiving payments right away. Your customers can use tons of popular payment methods like Klarna, ACH Direct Debit in the US, Apple Pay, Afterpay in the US and Canada, and ClearPay in the UK. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/jfrillis to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Alright, now for where I plan to start reading out the names of every character, since there's going to be significantly less I'll have to name for each number. So continuing on to the characters who got 20 votes, we have Tubba Blubba, Broggy, Hooktail, Kirsty, Bruiser, Paragoomba, Melody Piantissima, Tape, Shivarian, Orange Shy Guy, and last but not least, Gay Luigi, which is the name I gave for Luigi specifically from Hotel Mario. Different character than normal Luigi. So the one that really sticks out to me here, get it, stick, is Kirsty. Undoubtedly one of the most hated Mario characters, I'm pretty sure. Like, she comes from one of the most hated Mario games of all time, and a lot of people just don't like her condescending and rude personality. But at the same time, it's not like we're counting negative votes against the character for this. So it is a little surprising to me that Kirsty doesn't have more votes. But then again, I guess it's not all that surprising since I don't really know anybody who's like, oh yeah, Kirsty, big fan of that character. But even so, for being your only partner in a Paper Mario game, I kind of expected her to do a little bit better. Like, she's tied with Tubba Blubba, Hooktail, Gay Luigi, and Tape. I don't know, that's just funny to me. Rip Bozo, I guess. Now with 21 votes, we have thankfully a smaller group of characters. It's King Koopa, which is specifically Bowser from the Super Show, Yarn Yoshi, which I did end up counting separately from regular Yoshi since it is a unique form from him, Jack Black, not Movie Bowser or Jack Black Bowser. No, these are just votes for Jack Black the actor. You know what? I'll accept it. And finally, we got Bench New Donker, who is the lonely NPC in New Donk City that you sit next to on a bench and he gives you a moon. So Bench New Donker does seem to have a bit of a following, which I think is pretty cool. Definitely one of the more memorable moons from Mario Odyssey, for better or worse. I think for a lot of people, this moon is so bad it's good, and for others, it's a genuinely charming one that's pretty low effort to get, but still kinda nice. I don't know, very divisive. For a lot of people, it's kind of the epitome of the excessive amount of moons in Odyssey, making them feel a little bit meaningless as a collectible. But I don't know, what can I say? I like this guy. He's pretty wholesome. On to the characters with 22 votes. We have Pioro. Man, I can't believe the Nintendo ninjas assassinated him. Rest in peace. Sergeant Guy, Dino Piranha, Prince Haru from that one OVA, Pokio, Dark Bones, Shroob, and one of my personal favorite characters in the series, who I'm pleased got a decent amount of votes. I love this guy. I joke about him with my friends all the time. It's the one and only Dr. Goomba Tower. This is a stack of 3 Goombas who collectively got their medical license and thus appear in the now defunct mobile game Dr. Mario World as a playable character. I know people think characters like Pink Gold Peach are ridiculous, but seriously, Dr. Goomba Tower is one where you just have to take a step back and ask, How did we get to this point? Unbelievable. I love them. With 23 votes, we have Tiny Kong, Bluster Kong, General Guy, Fuzzy, Young Cricket, Blarg, Meowser, and another one of my personal favorites, Billboard. I love these stupid talking signposts from Mario Galaxy. They might be some of my favorite parts of that game. And that's already one of my favorite games of all time, so that's quite an accomplishment. Kinda surprised that Tiny Kong didn't do too well for being one of the 5 playable characters in Donkey Kong 64, but I suppose it is kind of a niche game, and she doesn't really have that meme factor that the other playable characters in that game do. So it kinda makes sense, but even so, it's a shame she didn't rank higher. Now for the 24 vote quintet. We have Fury Bowser, Mugly, Mips the Rabbit, Captain Goomba, which almost everyone specified was referring to the Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions character, and not the one-off Captain Goomba from one of the GameCube Mario parties. I want to say 4, but I honestly don't remember. But basically, I gave all the Captain Goomba votes to the Superstar Saga one. And finally, the last member of this group is Mario, which is specifically Mario from the 1993 live-action movie. Damn, I don't know about you guys, but for being the main character of the series, he really didn't do too well. Nah, but for real, it was very delightful to have a lot of people specifically specify characters from the 90s movie. Like, that's the kind of outside-the-box thinking I was hoping for with these results. Alright, I thought of some characters with a funnier amount of votes than 24. They are Kulex, the Shadow Queen, Spiny, Isabelle, and Beep-O. Pretty random assortment here. It's nice to see Kulex getting some love. And I thought Isabelle would have done a little better since she is a playable character in the best-selling Mario game of all time, on top of being from a pretty popular series herself. But yeah, she did fairly poorly compared to a lot of other famous non-Mario characters who appear in Mario games. Bit of a shame. With 26 votes, we have quite a few. Torpedo Ted, Cammy Koopa, Pennington, Whittle, Maw Maw, Perry the Parasol, the Phantom of the Blopra, Pink Shy Guy, and Red Koopa Troopa. Yo, shout out to Whittle Nation. Definitely one of my favorite one-off species in the series. I love the way they talk, I love the way they look, their little sound effects. It's interesting that they didn't really appear that much outside of Galaxy 2. I think they had a cameo in Mario Party 9 or something, but yeah, not much outside of that, which is a shame. Now with 27 votes, we have Bramble, Thwimp, Dr. Luigi, the T-Rex from Mario Odyssey, famous Mario character Shadow the Hedgehog as seen in the Mario and Sonic games, and finally, perhaps the only character cooler than Shadow the Hedgehog, another extremely underrated and forgotten favorite of mine from Mario Galaxy 2. We have the Chimp. Dude, you have no idea how happy I was to see this guy get a decent chunk of votes. Like, my face lit up every time I found his name in the results. I am obsessed with the Chimp. He's such a cool little one-off character. I love his little challenges. His design is raw as fuck. Oh my god, put him in the next Mario Kart. Put him in Smash even. I am the #1 fan of the Chimp on the planet. I didn't vote in this poll, but if I did, he would have been one of my 5. Moving on with 28 votes, we have Rabid Rosalina, Oogtar, Snailicorn, Dory, Orange Yoshi, Pink Yoshi, Tech, and Tuxie, which is the name of the baby penguin you can murder in Mario 64. I actually did not know he had a name until doing this poll. With 29 votes, we have Twink, Stuffwell, Bowser's brother, which is the canonical identity of the fake Bowsers you defeat in Mario the Lost Levels, and Gobblegut. I think Mario Kart 8 might have boosted Gobblegut a bit, because a lot of the other Mario Galaxy 2 bosses bombed horribly in this poll. And while Gobblegut is a cool character and boss, I don't think nearly as many people would remember him if he wasn't adapted into a race course in Mario Kart 8. So that's a nice little boost for him, keeping him relevant. Now with 30 votes, we have a rather special duo of monkeys, those being Redneck Kong and Swanky Kong. I wish I had more to say on them, but I think they speak for themselves. Also in the 30 vote gang is Shadow Mario, Boomerang Bro, Green Toad, Yellow Shy Guy, and the Ruined Dragon, which 7 years later I still can't believe actually happened in a Mario game. Dude, I am so glad I didn't get that spoiled for me. It made for such an insane moment. I don't know what they were thinking, but please apply that line of thought to more things in Mario, please. With 31 votes, we have Prince Florian, Gooper Blooper, Yellow Yoshi, famous Mario character White Mage from Mario Hoops 3-on-3 and Mario Sports Mix, famous Mario character Abraham Lincoln from Mario's Time Machine, Red Toad, which is different from normal Toad because he has a red vest and normal Toad has a blue vest. So this is specifically Red Toad and not Toad. Director Morty, who is absolutely one of the highlights of Luigi's Mansion 3 for me. It's just so wholesome that you help him with his movie, and then you get to let him finish it before you suck him up. Definitely my favorite one-off character from that game. And finally, the last character in this group of votes is Scrupulous Fingor, which is a cut enemy from New Super Mario Bros. DS. I don't have anything to say about it. It just gives off the most terrifying aura imaginable. I don't want to look at it anymore. Now for the 32 vote gang, and they're actually all tied for 200th place. That's right, we're nearing the end, relatively. There's only about 200 more characters to go. So anyway, we have Boom Boom and Pom Pom. And no, I did not count them together. They both individually ended up with 32 votes. I think that's kind of sweet, honestly. Yeah, not the most memorable mid-bosses. They're kind of filler anytime they show up, but they're okay and pretty inoffensive. Also with 32 votes is the baby Luma in Mario's hat in Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. And famous Mario character Samus Aran, as seen in Super Mario RPG. A lot of people who voted for her specified that she was a Mario character because of that. And like, you guys didn't need to tell me, I knew. What do you take me for? With 33 votes, we have the Moo Moo, Foreman Spike, Wacka, and Ouija. No, this is not Luigi. This is specifically Ouija. If you've been around for the golden age of YouTube poop like I have, you know there's a damn difference. Yeah, I was pretty pleased with how many votes Ouija got. And aside from him, it's nice to see the Moo Moo getting some love, considering they kind of became a meme a few months ago. It's like, how can you not pick Moo Moo Meadows when you see that cute little cow face on the thumbnail? Also, I'm a big fan of Wacka. I love how they keep him as a recurring character throughout the original trilogy. He really is the perfect litmus test for if you're a bad person, which, hey, I whack him every time, so I guess what does that say about me? And Foreman Spike is okay, I guess. I don't really have anything to say about him. I'd just feel bad if I talked about all the other 33 vote characters and not him. Next, we only have 3 characters with 34 votes. Those being Polari, Watts, and Paper Peach. Yeah, a lot of people specify just the paper versions of classic Mario characters. So even though the Mario Wiki considers Paper Peach and all the other Paper Mario characters to just be the same character as the non-paper versions, I figured I'd separate paper variants to reflect the will of the people. But yeah, Paper Peach is one of my favorite versions of Peach. I think her interludes in the original Paper Mario are flat out awesome. Like, it was kind of the first game where Peach got to do something even while she was kidnapped. It was just really cool to stealth around the castle and bake cakes and find ways of helping Mario even while she's trapped there. It's like the perfect use of Peach as a character if you're gonna do the plot where she gets kidnapped. She's pretty cool in Thousand Year Door and Super as well. It's pretty fun to play as her there. I will say though, I'm kind of disappointed that more people don't appreciate Watt. He was always one of my favorite Paper Mario Party members, and I feel like I'm in the minority on that. But I think he's super helpful in battle and just kind of adorable in general. Ah well. As for Polari, I kind of lumped in all the votes for Black Luma with him since he's the only Black Luma. I don't really have much of an opinion on him other than his design is really cool. Something about the black with blue eyes just really stands out compared to the other Lumas. And he actually has a unique name, which goes a long way in making him stand out as well. With 35 votes, we have Cat Peach, Bombette, Francis from Super Paper Mario, and Il Piantissimo. So 2 cute characters and 2 f***ing weirdos. Let's start with the cute ones, I guess. Francis! I feel like this character is a great example of just the sheer unhinged writing of Super Paper Mario. Like, more than any other Mario game, you really get the sense that there was no restrictions in the writing room. They really went ahead and made a geeky otaku chameleon. I just don't know what to say. Pretty unforgettable character for sure. Il Piantissimo terrifies me because who is he? Why does he dress up like a Pianta? Why does he have the same face as the Running Man from Ocarina of Time? It's just, what a bizarre creation. Like in the other 3D Marios, you race against Koopas or Boos or Penguins. Not Sunshine though. You're gonna race this unexplained weirdo cosplaying as a Pianta and you're gonna like it. Anyway, Cat Peach is Cat Peach. Pretty cute, I guess. And Bombette is the first party member I get in Paper Mario who I really enjoy. No offense to Goombario and Cooper, I just don't use them that much. But Bombette is pretty helpful in battle, and she has an endearing personality. I like her. Now we have the first character with a number of votes entirely to themselves. The only character in this entire poll to get 36 votes exactly is Light Blue Shy Guy. Yeah, not gonna lie, he do be light blue Shy Guy. Moving swiftly along to the pair with 37 votes, we have Baby Yoshi and Don Pianta. Could not be more different in terms of tone. One of them is a baby, and the other is a mafia boss. Which I think it's incredible how in Thousand Year Door, you enlist the help of the mafia to help you achieve your mission. Just, what a game. Yeah, Don Pianta is super fun, and this will not be the last mafia boss we see on this list. So with 38 votes, we have Buzzy Beetle, Baby Bowser, and Fly Guy. I always thought it was kind of funny how Fly Guys were in Mario 64, but regular Shy Guys weren't. Like, what happened there? With 39 votes, we have Pokey, Rabbid Luigi, Cheep Cheep, Mal Ray, and Luma Lee, which is specifically the Luma that appeared in the Mario movie. A lot of people voted for that nihilistic Luma from the Mario movie, or the Luma who longs for the sweet release of death. Definitely a cute little side gag in that movie. It was a nice way to get a Mario Galaxy reference in there, and yeah, it was funny. I chuckled. Cheep Cheep ranking so low despite being such a common enemy is kind of surprising, but I don't know, it's not really that crazy. I mean, does anyone really say, oh yeah, my favorite Mario enemy is Cheep Cheep? And shout out to Mal Ray for being absolutely terrifying. Alright, we're actually skipping 40 because no character got exactly 40 votes. Instead, we're jumping to 41 votes, which was achieved by the following two characters. Sniffit, okay yeah, that's a pretty normal Mario character, and he is joined by an equally normal Mario character, Mikhail Gorbachev, the final leader of the Soviet Union who appeared in the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. They didn't get the actual guy for it, they got an actor who played him, but he is indeed a Mario character, legally speaking. Congratulations, Mr. Gorbachev. Alright, next up with 42 votes, we have Mauser, Inkling Girl, Koopa the Quick. The one person voted for him as that racist Koopa from Mario 64. I assume they're referring to the fact that in 64 DS, he refuses to race against Yoshi. I thought that was pretty funny. And the last person with 42 votes is me, Shay Frillis. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I'm actually not from a Mario game. You could have used those 42 votes for a real character, like, I don't know, the chimp. Ah well, live and learn. And much like Isabelle, I'm kind of surprised that the Inkling Girl didn't do a little bit better, considering she's playable in Mario Kart 8. But oh well, I guess. Next, we have another number of votes with only one character attached. With 43 votes, we have Light Blue Yoshi. What is it with the light blue variants of characters getting a unique number of votes? You know, if I had a nickel for every time that happened so far, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? Moving on to 44 votes, we actually have quite a few. These include Princess Shroob, Grubba, Tanuki Mario, Green Shy Guy, and the Floating Whirlindas, which is the ghost couple from Luigi's Mansion who for some reason decimated most of the other one-off bosses from that game. I don't know what was going on there. It was probably a concerted effort from a group of people who did it for the funny. Or maybe it's an in-gag with some YouTuber I haven't heard of. But yeah, the Floating Whirlindas. Equally as popular Mario characters as Tanuki Mario, I guess. With 45 votes, we have, if you can believe it, another damn light blue character with a unique number of votes. It is Nastasia. Yeah, she's pretty cool. I love how calm and collected she always is when carrying out Count Bleck's evil deeds. She's definitely one of the less memorable characters out of the main cast of Super Paper Mario, and that's definitely reflected in her placement compared to the rest of them. But with that said, she still did pretty well for herself. You know, for a side character who appeared in one game from 2007, 45 votes is nothing to sneeze at. Next up, with 47 votes, we finally have someone who isn't light blue getting a unique number of votes. With that said, editor, if you could throw up a picture of him in a light blue shirt, I think that would be pretty funny. It is, of course, the main man himself, the voice of Mario, that being Chris Pratt. So yeah, I did not take these as votes for movie Mario, I took them as votes for Chris Pratt, because that's all they said. Dude, I will never forget that day when this was first announced. Just the sheer insanity of all the cast announcements, really. But this in particular, a truly dumbfounding experience that I still have not fully processed. And that's not even getting into that now iconic clip of him talking about how he spent hours of his life stomping Koopas. Why did he say it like that? I don't know. But yeah, this is a bit of a meme vote, but congratulations to Chris-san, I guess. Next, with 48 votes, we have Blue Shy Guy, not to be confused with Light Blue Shy Guy, there is a difference, and also 5V. So this is probably a pretty uncommon opinion, but I think 5V might be my favorite WarioWare character. You know, like, everybody likes her, but nobody really says, oh yeah, she's my favorite. But I don't know, something about this cool as hell gamer MILF is just really memorable to me. I just think she's really likable and endearing, and it's always sweet seeing her take care of 9V. So yeah, I think 48 votes is a pretty good showing for her, considering she's kind of a niche character from a niche series. So that's pretty cool. I mean, she's more popular than Chris Pratt. That's crazy. With 49 votes, we have Goombario, Tatanga, Raphael the Raven, Magikoopa, who is different than Kamek, it's just the generic enemy and not the character, and Bouldergeist. I'm pretty happy with the amount of votes this group got. I think Tatanga is such a cool, weird, one-off villain, and you know, a lot of people are saying they want Nintendo to bring him back, but I think it would be cooler if he just never returned. Like, if he remained that one weird thing from Mario's past that never gets addressed again. Like, oh, remember that time Mario saved Daisy's Kingdom from an alien? That's too funny. I wouldn't want them to ruin that potentially. I don't know why, but I'm a big fan of Raphael the Raven. I think it's really cool how he showed up in both Yoshi's Island and Paper Mario. I like when different Mario sub-series have synergy like that. Goombario had a pretty decent showing, and I think he's pretty neat, because he's like your introduction to partners in Paper Mario. And it's really endearing. Not to be like a Goomba racist or anything, but I think playing Paper Mario for the first time when I was younger and getting to meet this friendly Goomba family after knowing nothing about Goombas except you stomp on them and kill them was a pretty novel experience. It's like, oh, we can tell stories in this world where Goombas are the good guys and don't work for Bowser and have their own lives. And getting to know Goombario really set the tone for me that this game had a more interesting story and set of characters than like a Mario platformer. So yeah, I like Goombario, even if I don't really use him in battle that much. And Bouldergeist doing this well is pretty crazy. Like, he's one of my favorite bosses in Mario Galaxy, or hell, any 3D Mario game, really. But I didn't know he was this popular with a lot of people. So yeah, shout out to Bouldergeist Nation. Now for the sole character with 50 votes, it is Baby Daisy. Yeah, she do be a baby though. I don't really have much to say. It's like Mario Kart just kind of invented her so they could have an even number of babies in Wii's roster. I don't really think she's in much else, but she's definitely one of my favorite of the babies just because, I don't know, I like the orange color scheme. I don't really have an opinion on the babies that much, sorry. Now with 51 votes, we have 9V and Penguin. Just the generic species of penguin, not anything in particular. 9V is pretty cool. I like how he always brings a bunch of Nintendo micro games to the WarioWare series. But with that said, I still kind of resent him a little bit for being by far the worst character to play as in WarioWare Get It Together. Like, oh my god, he just keeps moving back and forth. It's so annoying. Every time I randomly get him for a micro game, it's like, well, I'm not winning this one. And penguins are cool. It's kind of interesting how in the midst of all these crazy, unique species you don't see in any other franchise, there's also just penguins. Just regular ass penguins. I don't know, that's kind of funny. Some of these votes were for Penguin in Mario 64, but like, what does that tell me? Do you mean the sliding penguin? Do you mean the mama penguin? Do you mean the baby penguin? It's like, which one? So if they didn't specify any of those, I just lumped them in with Penguin. And I also want to shout out the one person who voted for the penguin in Beach Bowl Galaxy that says, so, chunks, huh? Like, that's so true, those do be chunks. With 52 votes, we have Lord Crump, Madame Flurry, Donkey Kong Jr., the Mad Piano from Mario 64, and the Chuckster from Super Mario Sunshine. I mean, technically there are multiple Chucksters, but I assume they're voting for the guy who specifically says, I'm a Chuckster. Quite an assortment here. We have major characters from their respective games, and also an evil piano that appears in one level of one game, and the Chuckster, which needs no explanation. Flurry definitely got a little more than I expected. I thought she was kind of unpopular. But again, it's not like we're taking votes against the character into consideration. So I guess I can believe 52 people like Flurry. She's just, I don't know, not really my thing, but I guess her personality is okay, and she can be a little helpful in battle. I just want to know what was going on in the room where they designed her, man. Donkey Kong Jr. getting this number of votes is kind of cool. He's definitely very much a relic of the past, who they have no real reason to bring back in modern games. But I thought what they did with him in Mario Kart Tour was pretty awesome. And like it or not, he does have significant history as one of the first playable characters in Mario Kart. Like, we can never take that away from him. The piano is one of those unforgettable what the fuck moments in Mario 64. Like, I can only imagine being 5 years old and playing that game, then having a piano with teeth come alive and try and eat you. I don't know if that was an intentional reference to the movie House, but if so, that's pretty cool as well. You should watch House, it's pretty epic. And then there's the Chuckster. You know, Mario Sunshine has at least like a dozen infamous shines that are absolutely infuriating, but out of all of them, this one might be the most funny. Like, it's just conceptually hilarious to have to line up an NPC perfectly so they throw you to your destination instead of straight into the void. Simply unforgettable. Alright, with 53 votes, we got Bonsai Bill. Yeah, he is a giant bullet bill for sure. I don't have that much else to say, other than a lot of people misspelled bonsai. I don't blame you guys. Next up with 54 votes, we have Parakarry and Womp. I'm kind of sad Parakarry didn't get more votes. He's one of my favorite partners in the original Paper Mario. But then again, it kind of seems like pretty much all of the Paper Mario 64 partners are underperforming compared to what I expected. I mean, yeah, I do think the Thousand Year Door partners are generally better. Plus, there's a little recency bias because of that game's remake. But I like the original N64 partners, and I love the gimmick of you having to find letters that Parakarry dropped over the course of the game. That's pretty fun. And shout out to Womp for canonically being a part of the Berlin Wall, I guess. With 55 votes, we have the Hungry Luma and Baby Rosalina. I have nothing to say about Baby Rosalina. I'm just glad 55 of you like her enough to vote for her, I suppose. I'm kind of surprised she outdid Baby Daisy, but I guess it was only by like 5 votes, so I don't know, it doesn't matter. Hungry Lumas are kind of fun though. One of my favorite things to do is feed them 99% of the star bits they're asking for, and then just leave them morbidly obese for a while until I actually feel like doing their stage. It's pretty funny. I highly recommend it next time you play Galaxy. With 56 votes, there are quite a few. We have Flavio, Cooper, Dark Bowser, Cataquack, Stanley the Bugman, and a character whose eligibility is a bit dubious, but I think he counts enough as a Mario character. It's Kirby. Yeah, Kirby is mainly associated with Mario through Smash, which I didn't really want to count as a part of the Mario series, but he has little cameos here and there. He was in the Super Mario Kun manga. He is on a poster in Superstar Saga. Then of course there's his Mii costume in Mario Kart 8. And hey, you know what? Technically, because of Super Mario Maker, he does count as physically being in a Mario game, I guess. But yeah, I don't really blame people for voting for Kirby. It's hard not to. Like, he's up there as one of my top 10, maybe top 5 protagonists in gaming. I love the little guy. Very glad to see Cataquacks represented here. I find it so bizarre how they were in both Sunshine and Galaxy, plus Mario Kart, and then Nintendo just dropped them from the series. Like, you'd think they'd be a mainstay at that point, but ah well. We'll definitely see them again when they remake Peach Beach and Mario Kart 12 or something. I'm surprised Cooper got more votes than a lot of the other Paper Mario 64 partners, but yeah, I don't really have anything to complain about with him, I guess. Flavio is fun, and shout out to Stanley the Bugman for being the main protagonist of a Donkey Kong game. Like, I would love to see this guy get a Pauline-style revival and come back in modern stuff. Basically, I'm down for any retro obscure character to return, except for Tatanga. I think it would be extremely funny if only he never came back. On to 57 votes, we have Plessy and Blue Yoshi. Yeah, as usual, I have nothing to say about a different color variant of Yoshi, but Plessy is pretty cool. I like her stages in 3D World, and she's a great addition to Bowser's Fury. Next up, with 58 votes, it's Chargin' Chuck. I am surprised he didn't get a little more votes, since he appears in a lot of stuff nowadays, like Odyssey and Mario Kart Tour. I think he was in the Mario Golf game as well, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I really like Chargin' Chuck. I think the idea of a football-loving Koopa is a really fun one, and I definitely want to see him in more spin-offs. With 59 votes, we got Midbis and Rabid Peach. Midbis is cool, serving as a tough henchman for you to fight in Bowser's Inside Story. Do you get the pun in his name? Mid-boss? And I don't really have anything to say about Rabid Peach, except, did you know that for some reason she has her own Wikipedia article? Like, not just a page on the Mario Wiki, a page on actual Wikipedia. Like, why her? If you look at the other characters from the Mario series with Wikipedia pages, they all make sense. But in what way is Rabid Peach culturally significant enough for that? I don't know, man. Wikipedia is weird sometimes. With 60 votes, we have Red Yoshi and Black Shy Guy. Black Shy Guy is cool. That is my riveting analysis of him. Nah, but actually, I do have something to say about Red Yoshi. I've always been fond of this color, because as a kid, red was my favorite color, and green was Patrick's. So whenever I played as Yoshi in Smash, I would be sure to set him to the red color, so I didn't betray my red roots. And yeah, I just think it's a good look on Yoshi. That's about it. With 61 votes, we have Rock Hawk and Big Yoshi, whose apparently canonical name is Baby Fat, but like, come on man, that's Big Yoshi. Rock Hawk is a pretty fun and memorable red herring during the Glitzville chapter, which is one of my favorites in Thousand Year Door. And in general, he's just really cool. But yeah, shout out to Big Yoshi, maybe the greatest character in all of fiction. With 63 votes, we have Rabid Mario and Booster. Okay, so yeah, Rabid Mario got more votes than Rabid Peach. You know what you have to do, Wikipedia. I'm pretty pleased though that Booster got this many votes. He seems like a pretty niche character who's not all that talked about, but I think he really benefited from the Mario RPG remake coming out so recently. So he was really fresh in a lot of people's heads. Like, I never really knew about Booster until I played the remake, but now I'm kind of obsessed with him. He's so funny. I love his design and how Wario-esque it is. I love his role in the game itself. Nintendo should have added him to the Booster Course Pass. Just what a guy. Alright, tragically, nobody got exactly 64 votes. Deeply unfortunate for a poll like this. Instead, we're jumping up to 67 votes for Cackletta and the Honey Queen. Cackletta is a character that I don't really see too many people talk about, because I think she kind of gets heavily overshadowed by a certain henchman of hers. But yeah, she's a pretty decent villain for Superstar Saga, and the part where she makes Bowser trans is pretty epic. Then we got the Honey Queen. I don't know what to say. It's been 13 years since Mario Kart 7, and I'm still in shock. What were they smoking? They took this gigantic character who isn't even, like, popular, shrunk her down significantly, and made her one of only 17 choices on a roster that didn't even have room for Waluigi. See, that's the kind of unhinged shit that I live for in character rosters. I love when they throw a batshit insane pick in there to keep things interesting. Personally, I would have loved for Honey Queen to return, but considering how they didn't even bring her back in Tour, it seems like Nintendo kinda considers her to be a failed experiment. Which, like, I get it. The hate she got back in the heyday of 7 was pretty immense. But damn it, I think she's one of the coolest picks they ever made, and I would love for her to come back. And hey, 67 votes isn't half bad for her either. Next, with 73 votes, we have Baby Peach. Alright, I'll give her this. At least she has history in an actual Yoshi game, and she wasn't just made up for Mario Kart. Yeah, I don't know what you want me to say. It's Baby Peach. There she is. Okay, I will say this. As much as we like to clown on the babies taking up space in the roster, I played Mario Kart in college a lot, and a lot of girls I played with who were kind of casual gamers would often gravitate towards the babies. I definitely think there's value in having these little cute characters, especially little cute variants of other famous Mario characters, because Mario Kart is meant to appeal to everyone, and we shouldn't have the entire roster taken up by characters that we think would be cool. I think there is value in having the babies here, with the problem initially being that they took up way too high of a percentage of the Wii U Mario Kart 8 roster. I think now with the deluxe editions and the Booster Course Pass editions, the percentage of room the babies take up is pretty minuscule, and they're completely inoffensive now. So yeah, I don't mind them staying in the series. With 77 votes, we have Black Yoshi. Alright, now this one I have stuff to say about. Undoubtedly the single coolest color variant Yoshi ever gets. And of all the damn colors to replace with the fucking Crafted World skin in Smash Ultimate, it had to be this one. What a damn ripoff. Everybody known to man complains about this, and if you haven't complained about it, then check your privilege, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Black Yoshi is awesome. The white shoes make for a great contrast with the rest of his body. If he doesn't come back in Smash 6, I will literally drink water. Alright, with 78 votes, we have a rather special pairing. It is Paper Luigi and Paper Bowser. Both incredibly awesome variants of incredibly awesome characters. I was playing Thousand Year Door recently, and it hit me just how much this game has to have the perfect non-playable implementation of Luigi. Like, the idea that he's just going on his own quest that you never see as you do your quest. It's so charming. It really makes the world feel alive, and it doesn't make you feel bad for leaving him behind like you did in the original Paper Mario. Because if anything, I might be a little jealous of him. His adventure sounds really cool. Luigi is pretty awesome in Super Paper Mario as well, but you know, I think I'll talk about that when we get to a certain other character later on. Then there's Paper Bowser, which might be one of the funniest iterations of him out there. His writing is fantastic in the original. His interludes in Thousand Year Door are so funny. He's by far the most fun character to play as in Super. I haven't played Color Splash and I didn't get very far in Origami King, but I think people like him in those. And that's all the games Paper Bowser is in. Yep, there are no others. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I forgot one. Paper Jam. Again, never played that one. And that's the only game Paper Bowser's in on the 3DS. Alright, now for a character with 79 votes. It is the one and only Captain Syrup. Look, I tweeted this a while back, but Nintendo is seriously fumbling the bag by not making another Wario Land game. Because can you imagine how feral the internet would go for Captain Syrup if they did? Hell, why don't they just remaster Wario Land Shake It to see if people are interested in Wario Land? Which they probably are. Oh well, all that aside, she's really cool and memorable. It's very fun for Wario to have this sexy pirate rival. A lot of people have pointed out that she looks like Chappelle Rowan for some reason. She was even mentioned in Animal Crossing New Horizons. Like, come on, Nintendo. Either make a new Wario Land game or put her in Mario Kart or something. I guarantee you with more exposure, she would have gotten like 1,000 votes. But this number isn't half bad for a relatively obscure and dormant character. And next up with 82 votes, we have O-Chunks from Super Paper Mario. We initially miscategorized a lot of votes for O-Chunks because there are two different versions of that damn apostrophe. So a huge chunk, get it, of his votes went missing until we double checked since they were under the second apostrophe version of him. As a result, he initially only had 59 votes tied with Midbis. And I wrote this whole thing about how both of them kind of fill the same role in their respective games. But with that said, it turns out O-Chunks is a whole lot more popular. And yeah, he's great. I feel like the entire cast of Super Paper Mario is incredibly beloved for very good reason. And O-Chunks is a really funny henchman to encounter over the course of the game. I like him a lot. Moving on to 83 votes, we have Miss Mouse. She's pretty fun. I love the idea of an optional party member in a Paper Mario game. Admittedly, I don't really use her that much in battle, but she definitely makes an impression, and I can see why a lot of people really like her. Not much else to say. Now with 84 votes, we have Redzer, who is a version of Bowser that is red. This character does not actually exist in Mario. Thank you, Radical Funky Kong Facts, for getting your meme character this high on the list. Just what an amazing specimen Redzer is. Alright, 85 is a good number. For this one, we have Lanky Kong and the Mii. Yeah, Lanky Kong definitely got a lot of votes for the memes. I feel like out of all the playable Kongs in Donkey Kong 64, he's kind of like the face of the game. Not only because he has a funny face, but just his existence is a good representation of how bizarre that game is. I think he's funny, I like playing as him. He was in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast. I know that means nothing, but he has no style and he has no grace. What more can you really say? And the Miis are obviously iconic. They appear in so many Wii-era Mario games, and even a couple nowadays, though that list is pretty sparse. Personally, when I was younger and I saw the tech demo New Super Mario Bros. Mii for the Wii U, I got insanely excited because the idea of playing as myself in a real Mario platformer was unbelievably awesome. And then the game morphed into New Super Mario Bros. U, and you can only play as the Mii in the very last stage and the challenge mode. I don't know, I kind of felt ripped off by that. Like, would it have been that hard to at least make the Mii unlockable for the main campaign? Like, you programmed him into the game. There's actually no reason to restrict it to just these small segments. Ah well, Miis are awesome. I love how playing as a Mii in Mario Kart Wii changes the heads on the statues in certain courses. Miis are great, you already know this. Next, with 87 votes, undoubtedly another concerted effort from a group of people to skew the results a certain way, we have the iconic Mario character as seen in the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series, Big the Cat. Yeah, no, I can't even dispute this. By all accounts, he is eligible for this poll. 87 legitimate, real votes went to him. And the funniest part about this is that he's not even playable in the Mario and Sonic games. He just appears in them as an NPC. I just don't know what to say. Just good job. Are you proud of yourselves? You did it. Moving on to 93 votes, we have Strollin' Stew. I love the Stews so much. They are just unbearably funny to me for no real reason. They kind of exemplify just how weird and off-kilter Super Mario Sunshine is. It's like you look at this thing and you just know that no other game but Super Mario Sunshine could have spawned it. They were kind of the replacement for Goombas in this game, and honestly, I kind of like them better than Goombas. Shh, don't tell anyone. Just, it's Strollin' Stew, man. What else is there to say? Alright, next up with 94 votes, we have the Talking Flower, who I think we were all kind of expecting to hate going into Mario Wonder. Like, I just saw him in the trailers and thought, oh my god, is he gonna shut up ever? Then you actually play the game and he kinda works. Like, I found him really charming, and I can't even imagine turning his dialogue off. So yeah, kudos to the Talking Flower for exceeding my incredibly low expectations of him. Moving on to 95 votes, it is the incredible and iconic George Washington from the Super Show. I don't really think I need to explain or rationalize why George Washington got 95 votes. I mean, just look at him. This has got to be one of the best, insane, obscure Mario characters out there. His existence brings me so much joy that I could never fully put into words. Now with 96 votes, we have Mona. One of the more prolific WarioWare characters. She's been there from the start, and she's just overall pretty cool and nice. I don't know if I have a lot else to say about her. She's just very likable and pretty normal by the standards of the WarioWare cast. But she's definitely not boring or anything. She's pretty fun to have around. With 97 votes, we have Brooke Monsieur. I don't know how to say French words, sorry. And perhaps inevitably, Bowsette. Wow, great job getting Bowsette to 97 votes, guys. You really did something there. Do you think the artist who drew the original Bowsette comic is just like doing the Oppenheimer stare right now? Like, my god, what have I wrought on this world? You know, Bowsette also has her own Wikipedia article, but that I totally get. Broke is also a pretty funny character from what I've heard. This is the part of the video where I confess that Mario and Luigi is my one major blind spot when it comes to the Mario series. The only game I've ever actually beaten is Superstar Saga. Not because I'm not interested in the other ones, I just haven't gotten around to them. But yeah, I've seen funny screenshots of this guy. It seems like he really leaves an impression on people, and he has a goofy French accent. What's not to love? Now for the first character with over 100 votes, which could be seen as quite an accomplishment until you see who this character is. I think this is actually a bit of a pitiful showing for them, though it's also not all that surprising either. With 102 votes, it is in fact Wendy O. Koopa. So I don't think this is much of a surprise to anyone. Wendy is by far the least popular Koopaling. The only one, in fact, that did not manage to crack the top 100 on this list. And I think that mainly comes down to the fact that her design is just really ugly. Like, say what you will about the Koopalings and their oversaturation and whatnot, but you can't deny that the other ones have really good designs. But with Wendy, I don't know, man. The big lips, the kind of ugly muted shade of pink, those excessively large hoops. It's just like nothing about this design really works to me. I think there was a poll or some statistics about the characters people pick online in Mario Kart 8 that found out Wendy was the least picked character in that whole game. I don't know if that was official or what, but that would not surprise me if those results were true. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. She's definitely my least favorite Koopaling, and the sentiment is clearly true for a lot of other people. But like, I don't want to end this discussion about her on a negative note, because that would be rude to the 102 people who did vote for her. Like, that's still a solid amount of votes. A lot of people do clearly like her. She is pretty unique as the only girl among the Koopalings. But yeah, I just kind of wish her design was better. Next up, with 105 votes, we have Penny Crygore. This was really interesting to me because Penny isn't really the most prolific WarioWare character, and yet she did a lot better than quite a few of them. And I think that was solely because of how good her song is. Like, legit, Penny's song might be my favorite in all of WarioWare. It's unbelievably charming and sweet. My girlfriend has never touched a WarioWare game, and even she heard it and thought, yeah, that's amazing. She even made an AMV of Winry from Full Fullmetal Alchemist singing it. So check that out if you want. But yeah, despite the fact that she hasn't really become a fixture in the series until recently, Penny is definitely one of my favorites. I think the gimmick of her wanting to be a famous pop star slash scientist is super endearing. Her control scheme and Get It Together is really tricky to get the hang of, but once you master it, it's super fun, and it makes you feel like a god completing these micro games. And yeah, overall I'm just really pleased with how well Penny did. Anyway, with 106 votes, we have Prince Dreambert. Unfortunately, my lack of Mario and Luigi expertise strikes yet again. I was definitely more of a Paper Mario boy growing up. I don't know much about Dream Team at all, but I know this guy is one of the main characters, kind of like a guide to you during the game. And yeah, a lot of people really enjoyed him, so I think that's neat. Next up, we have a duo with 109 votes, that being Wart and Dr. Mario. Wart is another character that, much like Tatanga, I think it would be extremely funny if they just never return, and they were just the one-off weird dream antagonist from Super Mario Bros. 2. I mean, I would be okay if they did return, because I think Wart is a little bit more normal and what you'd expect from a Mario villain than Tatanga, so I wouldn't mind seeing them again. And hey, shout out to his role in Link's Awakening, that's pretty cool as well. And then we got Dr. Mario. Dude, I love his series. I've always been a slightly bigger fan of playing Dr. Mario compared to Tetris. It's just so fun to wipe out viruses and match up specific colors. And yeah, he's pretty fun overall. I mean, it is just Mario in a doctor suit at the end of the day, but I think Smash has gone a long way in terms of really distinguishing him from regular Mario. Even though it's a little ridiculous to think about the fact that this guy has been in 3 different Smash games. Like 1 or 2 I get, but 3? Yeah, I don't get it, but it's extremely funny to think about. Next up with 110 votes, we have Orbulon. Yeah, Orbulon is definitely one of the coolest WarioWare characters. I love his ghost-like design. He's by far the best character to play as in WarioWare Get It Together. Like, he just destroys some minigames. It's crazy how broken he is. I don't have a whole lot else to say. I just think this is a really good showing for him. Next, with 112 votes, it is Boshi, who is the blue Yoshi with sunglasses. I don't think anyone would argue that he isn't the absolute coolest Yoshi to ever exist. It really goes to show just what a creative well Square tapped into during the 90s when they made Mario RPG. Because the fact that such an extremely minor character from this game could do so well in this poll just speaks to how strong his design is. Him and Big Yoshi both have just been persistent for years in the public consciousness, even before the remake came out. Yeah, Boshi is cool as heck. Really fun rival during the Yoshi races, and just overall fantastic. Okay, this is pretty monumentous. We have now officially reached the top 100. That's right, this is officially Mario Poll, the top 100 now. Every character from now on can officially go down as a Mario series legend, I guess. Starting off with number 100, a character with 117 votes. It is, oh, rest in peace, you sweet angel, Chunky Kong. Yeah, I assume a lot of people wanted to pay their respects to the canonically deceased Chunky. That makes sense. This is a pretty great showing for a character who's only ever appeared in one game, really. Like, he was only ever in Donkey Kong 64. They didn't even bring him back for Barrel Blast. Okay, to be fair, let me read off his list of appearances section on the Mario Wiki. After DK64, he had a small cameo in a mini-game in the Game Boy Advance remake of Donkey Kong Country 3. He had a cameo in Brawl as a sticker and Ultimate as a spirit. And of course, we can't forget his cameo in the Mario movie. So yeah, pretty sparse appearances, but like, yeah, undoubtedly I love Chunky. It's really funny how he actively doesn't want you to pick him in the Kong barrel in DK64. And overall, he's just one hell of a guy, what can I say? This is the first character on this list to be canonically deceased, and trust me, he won't be the last. Next up, we have a trio of absolutely equally iconic characters with 118 votes, and they are Popple, Huey, and Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, I bet if you ask any random person on the street who any of these 3 characters are, they could absolutely tell you, for sure. Yeah, so Sonic is obviously eligible because of Mario and Sonic, and really, I'm just glad the most popular Sonic character in this poll wasn't Big the Cat. We really dodged a bullet there. I've never played Color Splash, but Huey seems to be a pretty well-liked companion from that game. Like, he almost got 100 more votes than Kirsty, which really says a lot. And of course, Popple is a pretty fun and memorable side antagonist in Superstar Saga. Again, I haven't played Dream Team, but I think it's really cool that they brought him back in that game after a pretty long absence. I like how there are a good deal of recurring characters exclusive to the Mario and Luigi games. Moving on to 119 vote characters, we have Pianta and Gooigi. The Piantas are just such a fantastically creative species. I love their voices, I love their designs and big noses. They really add a lot to the overall goofy, offbeat atmosphere of Mario Sunshine. And then we got Gooigi, who, remember, did not debut in Luigi's Mansion 3. His first appearance was the 3DS remake of Luigi's Mansion 1, as a little teaser of the character. I find that really funny. Gooigi was probably the highlight of Luigi's Mansion 3 for me. I played the whole game in co-op with my friends, and I just love Gooigi's unique abilities and just how weird he is conceptually. Just this dead-eyed, creepy, gelatinous clone of Luigi. He's super funny and I love him a lot. If Sakurai was smart, he would make Gooigi an Echo Fighter in Smash. All I'm saying. Also, put him in Mario Kart, please. Now, unfortunately, no character got exactly 120 votes, which is a shame because that would have been pretty fitting for a Mario poll. But instead, moving on to 122 votes, we have Peachette. Okay, you probably expected me to be mad about this, but honestly, I've kind of softened to Peachette in general. Like, it's just such a bizarre workaround to kinda sorta get Peach playable in New Super Mario Bros. U without actually getting her playable, and you really have to admire just how weird it is. Plus, even though she was a baffling choice for the Booster Course Pass, I really feel like they only did it so they would have an even number of additions and she was the easiest character to add. I don't know, I play as her sometimes. She's kinda cute and I like her biker outfit. Yeah, I think my least favorite Mario Kart character has kinda shifted back to that other one, who you might have noticed has not appeared yet in this poll. That's really something, huh? But yeah, Peachette, I don't know, she's fine, whatever. Alright, with 125 votes, we have Koopa Kid. This is such a fascinating character to me because, like, we're never gonna get Koopa Kid again, right? Like, that ship has completely sailed because of Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings to an extent, completely usurping Koopa Kid's role. As a result, this character is just such a fascinating time capsule of the GameCube Mario parties, where it was like, Bowser Jr. existed, yes, but we didn't really know if he had staying power in the series yet, so Hudson just progressed with the Koopa Kids throughout the whole GameCube era. So yeah, just very fascinating little guys, solely because we probably are just never gonna see them again. Their last physical appearance was in Mario Party 7, and the last overall appearance of them was in Mario Party Superstars, solely because they appear on the box art of the GameCube Mario parties, which you can view in-game. So yeah, if that's not a sign of a defunct, completely replaced character, I don't know what is. Next, with 128 votes, we have Thwomp. This placement surprises me a little bit, because I thought Thwomps would be a bit more popular, considering they're in basically every Mario game. But I think at the end of the day, they don't really have the same power as other prolific Mario enemies for a couple reasons. First, those other enemies are cute, and Thwomps are decidedly not. But also, Thwomps feel less like enemies and more like just obstacles for you to dodge that just happen to have a face. They definitely have some character in some areas, like in Mario Party boards, where you pay them off, or in the RPGs. But for the most part, yeah, I guess it's not hard to see why Thwomps didn't rank too highly, despite how often they appear. Next up, with 129 votes, we have Jimmy T. It does not surprise me at all that he's a fan favorite among the WarioWare cast. He just has an undeniable swagger and a super fun design to boot. I feel like there really isn't a whole lot to say about him. He's just pretty awesome in general. Oh boy, so in 90th place with 138 votes, we have the most popular Mario character who does not actually appear in any Mario-related media. You guys are so funny for getting him this many votes. It is, of course, Tony Soprano. Yeah, so this is obviously a reference to the ongoing joke I have in my videos about Tony being playable in Mario Kart Super Circuit. It's pretty funny to see just how much you guys latched onto that, to the point where you got Tony into the top 100. Like, Tony Soprano is a more popular Mario character than Windy O Koopa and Thwomp. Incredible. As a side note though, I did want to mention how I'm actually watching The Sopranos for the first time now, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I had no idea that there's a scene in the show where Tony actually plays Mario Kart. Like in the first season, he and his son play Mario Kart 64 together. And the entire time I've been making jokes about him being in Mario Kart, I had no idea this scene actually existed. So you know what? He is tangentially related to Mario. What do you know? I mean, he is Italian, and throughout the show, he does say the word Nintendo quite a bit. So yeah, Tony Soprano, goated Mario Kart character. And if you're really upset about this and thinking, oh, this completely ruins the integrity of this poll, then like, I don't know, man, you can just pretend he's not in it and all the rankings below him shift up by 1 point. That way, Boshi can officially be a part of the top 100, which is pretty cool. But yeah, please bring Tony back in Mario Kart, Nintendo. Moving on with 141 votes, we have the Yoshi Kid, which is the name for your little Yoshi partner in Thousand Year Door. Obviously, you can name him whatever you want. I named mine Tulin. But yeah, he is undoubtedly one of my favorite Paper Mario partners. I love his scrappy attitude, I love how he keeps calling you Gonzalez, and I especially think it's so cool that you get a different color for him on each save file depending on how long it takes to hatch him. I got the green one because I'm a pro gamer. But yeah, he's super helpful for traversal. He's just really endearing. He feels personal to you as a player since you name him and get a different color for him than some other players. The one thing I don't like is how his action command requires button mashing, so I don't really use him in battle because of that. But other than that, wonderful character. I wish he could have gotten even more votes. Next up, tied with 148 votes, we have again 2 equally iconic characters. Those being Olivia from Paper Mario The Origami King and Link from The Legend of Zelda. So it's pretty easy to see why Link ranked this high. He's fairly prolific throughout Mario media, outside of obviously Smash. Much like Samus, he has a cameo in Mario RPG. He's obviously playable in Mario Kart 8, which, if you think about it, is the best-selling video game of all time to feature Link. Huh. And then of course I feel like a lot of people forget about this, but he even got a special playable moveset in Super Mario Maker 2, which was kinda cool, though I'm not sure if it made up for the loss of all the amiibo costumes from the first game. Even so, it's easy to see why Link did so well in this poll. And then of course we have Olivia, which I only played a bit of Origami King, but I definitely found her really endearing, and I completely understand why she has so many fans. Just a lovely, memorable companion for a lot of people from a pretty well-liked game. Next, with 149 votes, we have Baby Mario. I think this character has a lot more going for him in terms of exposure compared to the other babies, since escorting him is your main goal in the original Yoshi's Island. Though, honestly, that might be a good reason to not vote for him, because he's pretty damn annoying in that game. But with that said, yeah, obviously a lot of people really like him. It's pretty sweet how the Yoshis protected him from an early age, and he also has that appeal of being a cute character in Mario Kart. So yeah, this makes sense for him. Speaking of Mario Kart characters, with 151 votes, we have that one that I still can't wrap my head around fully. It is, of course, Rob. I don't know, man, this is just nuts. What was a forgotten NES peripheral doing as one of only 12 playable characters in Mario Kart DS? Because you have to remember, this was before he got into Smash. So it was the Mario Kart DS team that really said, yeah, let's make the robotic operating buddy into a playable character. Honestly, one of the most base decisions the Mario Kart team has ever made. This was an unbelievably cool addition to DS, and it's not surprising that it never came back after that, but man, would it be amazing if he did. I am a huge Rob truther. Please bring him back in the next Mario Kart. And do the same for Honey Queen while you're at it. Next up, we have a duo with 156 votes, who both also appear in Mario Kart. It is Metal Mario and Dixie Kong. I kind of thought Dixie Kong would do a little better, but in general the Donkey Kong characters kind of underperformed a bit. Dixie also doesn't have the advantage of being in a major console Mario Kart game since she's only appeared in Tour. But with that said, she's definitely very popular, especially among DK fans in particular. She's playable in 3 of the 5 Donkey Kong Country games, also being by far the best character to play as in Tropical Freeze. And she's had a few Mario spin-off appearances here and there. Like dude, she was in Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Did you even know that? Overall though, I guess she doesn't have quite as much exposure as a lot of the other Donkey Kong characters who appear in way more Mario spin-offs. And missing out on Mario Kart 8's roster probably did a number on her chances here. But still, not too bad for her. Then we got Metal Mario. I thought he was the hottest shit in Mario Kart 7. It was such a cool concept to take a character who was, yes, based on the form from Mario 64, but as an individual character, felt more like a deep-cut Super Smash Bros. Reference. He also had a couple of appearances in stuff like Dr. Mario 64, and yeah, I thought it was a really cool addition to 7. By the time he came back in 8, the novelty definitely wore off a bit, but like, I could never hate Metal Mario. I have some pretty fun nostalgic memories of maining him on the 3DS. And the fact that he says Mia Mama instead of Mamma Mia is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Next, with 158 votes, we have Mimi from Super Paper Mario, who I really wasn't expecting to do this well. I mean, there's a couple Super Paper Mario characters that I knew were gonna rank pretty high, but Mimi definitely exceeded my expectations. I think it's because if you play this game, she's kind of unforgettable. Like, oh, it's a sweet, innocent little girl who cracks her neck and turns into a demonic spider beast. Once again, Super Paper Mario is unlike anything I've ever played in the Mario series. You really need to check it out if you haven't. Yeah, Mimi's fun. I like her different outfits, I like her personality, I think she's great. And with 161 votes, we got my boy, Lubba. I think Lubba got a lot of understandable, but still kind of unwarranted hate when Galaxy 2 first came out. Because it's like, yes, by every metric, he is a complete downside from Rosalina. But as an individual character, I don't know, I just find him really charming. I like his design, I like the way he laughs at his bad jokes. His voice is pretty enjoyable, he's just a fun guy to have around. He makes for a nice contrast to Rosalina that really helps differentiate the game as a whole from the original Galaxy. Like in the original, you come back to this quiet, elegant spaceship with this beautiful goddess at the helm. And then in this game, you come back to this space RV with the loud, boisterous star guy in charge. I don't know, I like the way they switch things up there. And in general, I think Lubba has a lot more charm that people didn't really appreciate because he's not the space waifu. Ah well, I like him. Next, with 162 votes, we have the Flash Liquidizer Ultra Dousing Device, aka Flood. As a character, Flood is pretty charming. I like his little robotic voice, and I'm sure if I was like 2 years old when I first played the game, I would cry at his fake death scene at the end. I think it's pretty cool how they just threw it in there that he was invented by Professor E. Gadd. Like, that was a completely unnecessary bit of world building, but it's just really nice to have. It's one of the many reasons the GameCube era just felt so cohesive across the different spin-offs and Mario sub-series. Mainly though, I really like Flood for the gameplay possibilities he opens up. Like, I know he was kinda controversial, but like, think of it this way. In Mario Sunshine, you basically have a jetpack at all times. Like, I'm sorry, that's awesome. I love hovering with him, and spraying water can be pretty fun too. Don't have much else to say, except, if you like Flood, go check out the Super Mario Sunshine YouTube poop collab on my second channel, Shafe Classic. It's really fun, I promise. Moving on to 172 votes. This one honestly really surprised me. I knew he'd get a decent following, but I didn't expect it to top 100 votes, let alone shoot this guy above Flood and Lubba. It is MC Ballyhoo from Mario Party 8. I guess at the end of the day, this was the best-selling Mario Party game before the Switch era, so it's understandable why a lot of people have been exposed to this guy. Plus, not to mention, he's just pretty memorable in general. Like, I haven't touched Mario Party 8 in 15 years, but I still distinctly remember the way he delivers, "Welcome to the Star Carnival!" as well as other little voice lines like, "Yono," and "Ha ha!" I'm not really the biggest fan of 8 in general, but none of that is this guy's fault. I completely understand the appeal, and yeah, apparently he has a much bigger fan base than I was expecting. With 182 votes, we have Ninji. Ninji is a weird one for me, because on the one hand, I love the fact that he's a rather obscure Mario enemy who's now being used in way more games all of a sudden. It's so nice when the series does that, and it's cool that he made it into the most recent Mario Golf and the new Mario Party. But with that said, I don't really have much of an opinion on him other than that. He's kinda cute, but not someone I'm all that crazy for. But clearly a lot of people are, and I'm glad to see him making a comeback in the series. Next up, with 188 votes, we have Yellow Toad. So I kinda grouped the votes for both Yellow Toad and Ala Gold together. Ala Gold, of course, being the fan-made name for this character that was allegedly used by the actual developers, but I don't think that was actually true. It was just a rumor at the end of the day. Either way, Yellow Toad. Obviously made famous by the new Super Mario Bros. Games, games which featured him as a playable character, and I really love how they're keeping his legacy alive by going out of their way to include him in Mario Wonder. It's a little hard to fully talk about him without talking about another very similar character, so I think I'll save most of my thoughts for later on. But yeah, not a bad showing for old Ala Gold here. But I think you'll find that there's a very clear fan favorite between him and his partner of sorts. Next up with 190 votes, it is Antasma. Again, Dream Team is kind of one of my blind spots when it comes to the series as a whole, but Antasma is a pretty well-liked villain from that game. And yeah, I can confirm that design is pretty sick. I know there's a bit of controversy regarding their role in the endgame versus Bowser's, but again, I can't really speak on that until I play this. Which I will eventually, don't worry, I'll get to it, I'm sure. Next, with 191 votes, we have Prince Peasley. Okay, this guy I can speak about. He's from the one game I did play. Definitely a super memorable side character. It's great to just have such a helpful and cool ally in one of these games. And yeah, I am completely on board with all the shipping people do between him and Luigi. It's pretty unsubtle and a really fun element to his character. Always a delight whenever he shows up in Superstar Saga. Alright, continuing on to a duo with 192 votes. We have Paratroopa and Tippy. When I think of Paratroopa, his singular playable Mario Kart appearance in Double Dash comes to mind immediately. Just because of how sad it is that he never came back. It's like they used him just to give Koopa Troopa a partner and then tossed him aside. How unfortunate. Aside from that, yeah, I like jumping on him and killing him, I guess. Tippy's a pretty great character, not just a solid companion throughout the bulk of Super Paper Mario's journey, but also a deeply tragic one in a way you would never see coming. It's pretty hard to get into that without spoilers though, so all I'll say is I'm pretty happy that Tippy ranks this high. Now for a character with 196 votes. It is this guy. In the spirit of not spoiling anything for new Thousand Year Door players, let's just call him Kyle. Kyle is such a deeply memorable antagonist. It's so crazy how the game pulls the wool over your eyes with this chapter and makes you think, oh, that was it? Cool. And then you start moving again and it's like, what the f*** is going on? Yeah, just an all-around awesome antagonist, and I like how the game keeps him around after the chapter is over, to be the bumbling new member of the Shadow Sirens. Just a delightful little prick. Alright, we have now broken into the 200 vote and above squad. So with 204 votes, it is Cranky Kong. It's just fascinating lore-wise to think that he was the original Donkey Kong from the arcade, and now he's old as shit. He's always super funny in the Donkey Kong Country games as a crotchety, fourth-wall-breaking NPC. It was fun getting him as a playable character in Tropical Freeze, even though I admittedly never use him, Dixie Gang for life. And he also has the honor of having the worst voice acting out of anyone in the Mario movie. I don't think any of us expected that going in. So yeah, pretty fun guy, always great to have around. Next, with 212 votes, the 70th most popular Mario character. I really just, let that sink in for a minute. That this is how high this character has gotten. Just take that in, okay? So here we have Pink Gold Peach. I don't know, man. I feel like something shifted here. Because when this character was first revealed for Mario Kart 8, I saw nothing but hate from everybody. It's like they took the little goodwill Metal Mario had and flushed it all away in an instant. With this completely made up, bullshit character nobody wanted. And now here we are 10 years later, and I don't really feel like she's as hated anymore. I don't know, maybe we've all just kind of gotten used to having her on the roster, and maybe the backlash was so strong initially because that Wii U Mario Kart 8 roster was complete ass, man. So many fan favorites ignored in favor of the only newcomers being the Koopalings, Baby Rosalina, and Pink Gold Peach. Yeah, I think it's not hard to see why she would attract a lot of vitriol for being a waste of space. But as the game's roster expanded over the years, now I feel like she's kind of harmless. Like, she's there if people want to play as her, but she's not preventing me from playing as Funky Kong or Pauline. Even when Mario Kart 8 first launched, the roster was comparatively huge and awesome next to that original Wii U roster. And keep in mind, most people who played Mario Kart 8 started with the Switch version. So at that point, hating on Pink Gold Peach is kind of a waste of energy. Like, the roster was perfectly satisfying even with this weird clone pick. And on top of that, many people were looking for a female heavyweight character like her, since, you know, we're not getting Honey Queen back. So I feel like there's been enough time since that initial vitriol for Pink Gold Peach to grow a legitimate, unironic following over the years. I still think this is a bit of a surprising rank, like higher than Metal Mario. Okay. But with that said, yeah, I can't really bring myself to be upset with this placement. Good for her, honestly. I don't know, I feel like my reaction to her is pretty similar to the reaction to the second half of Megamind Rules. It's like, initially it was just extreme hatred, and now it's like indifference. Like, she's fine. I don't know, I don't mind her existing. Congratulations. Alright, moving on to a character with 213 votes. It is Morton Koopa Jr. Definitely makes sense for him to be the second least popular Koopling. Though to be fair, he did absolutely demolish Windy in terms of the votes. But yeah, nothing too crazy compared to his brothers, but I think his design is cool. I've really warmed up to him in particular over the years. I like the black and white thing he's got going on, and his beady little eyes are pretty funny. Not too bad of a showing for our Morton. With 218 votes, next up is Poochie. He's a good boy. He ain't stupid. Honestly, I never really thought that much about Poochie until recently when my friend and I played Yoshi's Woolly World together for the first time. First of all, that's a damn great game. Like, by far the second best Yoshi game after the original, in my opinion. It's kind of obscenely slept on. But basically, in that game, you can bring Poochie into any level. And he is so helpful at finding secrets and saving you from certain death. Like, I adore this puppo now. No wonder they named the DS port after him. I also think it's pretty funny how he was the last unique character added to Mario Kart Tour. Like, what a way to go out, I don't know. And yeah, overall, I'm a big Poochie enjoyer. I'm pretty pleased that he did this well. With 230 votes, we have the Flat Man, the great Gonzalez himself. It's Paper Mario. Now, according to the wiki, the character of Paper Mario only appears in Paper Jam, as they consider all the characters in the Paper Mario series to just be regular Mario, Luigi, Peach, etc. But like, I know what you guys meant when you voted for Paper Mario. I don't think 230 people voted for specifically the Paper Jam version of him. Yeah, so in the past, I've expressed how I can get a little bit bored with Mario as a character, and especially playing as him. I just want to make it clear that none of that applies to Paper Mario whatsoever. This has got to be my favorite version of Mario out there. His design is perfect, he's incredibly charming, I love all his little abilities, both in combat and in the overworld. Just the simple act of him giving a thumbs up is the most charming thing I've seen since sliced bread, I don't know. I've always been a big Paper Mario fan, and I just love seeing the character in general. He's so endearing. As for where I stand on the white outline debates, I guess I prefer him without the outline, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even realize it was a thing in the newer games until people pointed it out. Next up, with 236 votes, we have Mallow. This is about what I expected for him. Despite being one of the main characters of the first ever Mario RPG, with a recent remake on the Switch, I don't really think Mallow has left too much of an impact on the fan base. He's cute, he's endearing, he's got a nice story, and his healing abilities are pretty helpful. But yeah, I'll admit, I might be part of the problem because I stopped thinking about him too much after I beat the remake recently. Still, I think he's pretty awesome. Next, with 239 votes, we have Polterpup. Easily one of the highlights of Dark Moon for me. He can be a little annoying when he steals your shit, but it's annoying in a cute and endearing way. I love the way Luigi says, Polterpup, and I really love how Luigi adopts him at the end of the game. Yeah, not a whole lot else to say. I think he's a pretty cute addition to the series. Alright, in 64th place, we have a character who ironically never appeared on the N64. With 251 votes, it is Larry Koopa. He's kind of the default Koopaling in a way, and I think he kind of gets lost in the shuffle compared to the other ones. But I like him. He's got a great light blue color scheme going on, and his hair is pretty cool as well. He's pretty memorable too for being the first boss you face in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which I know is a lot of people's first 2D Mario game. I mean, it was mine for sure. And I think he's a great one to start you off. A little simple, but a pretty likable little antagonist. Alright, with 263 votes, who's the girl next door living in the haunted mansion? You better know her name, cause it's Ashley. Unsurprisingly, this is the highest rated WarioWare original character. She's definitely the most popular one, and I think both her design and iconic song play a large role in getting her there. She's a fun addition to the cast. I love her sullen attitude, and she's pretty useful in Get It Together. I am kind of surprised she didn't rank higher. Like, I thought for sure she had enough mainstream popularity to boost her up to the top 50 at least. But not quite, ultimately. Still a pretty awesome character that a lot of people love. Next up, with 268 votes, we have Blooper, and by far the most popular baby of them all, that being Baby Luigi. Yeah, this isn't super surprising. I think a lot of people just naturally gravitate towards Baby Luigi out of all of them. He definitely has the most distinct and memorable voice out of all the babies, and yeah, again, I don't really have much else to say. He do be Baby Luigi. As for Blooper, he's a pretty memorable and iconic underwater enemy. It's pretty rare to get him as a playable character, but whenever we do, it's like, oh damn, yeah, that's Blooper playable in Mario Party 8 or some random game like that. I definitely think he should be playable in more things, and also shout out to him for being the worst Mario Kart item. Like, it's not even close. Continuing on to a character with 271 votes, we have Koops. I definitely underestimated how popular the Koopa partners were in Paper Mario. Like, Koops did surprisingly well for himself, considering I don't really think about him all that much. Hell, I often kind of forget who's who between him and Cooper. But, you know, that's a me problem. Koops is pretty great and likable. I like how Chapter 1 is basically his quest to find his father. I think it's sweet how he has a girlfriend, and his abilities aren't half bad in battle. I saw a tweet one time that says Koops gives off massive Michael Cera energy, and like, you know what? I can totally see it. Next up, with 274 votes, we have Bob-omb. This is an interesting one because I feel like most people don't consider Bob-omb to be its own character the way other common Mario enemies are. Like, more often than not, I feel like the Bob-ombs aren't playable in spin-offs and are more so items to be thrown at people. And there are definitely a couple of unique Bob-omb characters that more people voted for compared to the regular one. But with that said, he really didn't do too bad for himself. This is a great showing for a pretty fun enemy. In particular, I love his voice. So iconic. Next, with 286 votes, we have what I believe is the highest ranked Paper Mario 64 partner, which is, unsurprisingly, Lady Bow. Bow is just awesome. Like this regal character who puts matters into her own hands and joins you on your quest. She's mischievous and playful, yet refined and elegant at the same time. And she's incredibly helpful in battle. There's really just so much to like with her. Big fan of Lady Bow. Definitely one of my favorite Paper Mario partners. Now onto another Paper Mario character and another Bob-omb. With 291 votes, we have Bobby. So, this is undoubtedly the standout character of Origami King for most people. And I feel like he's the perfect example of how, despite how ridiculous all the mandates that were allegedly placed on the modern Paper Mario devs to make the characters as generic as possible, you can never say that the writers weren't trying with these games. I haven't played through Color Splash or Origami King fully, but I know there's a ton of funny moments I've seen out of context. And it seems like they can do actual dramatic heft pretty well too. I have at least played the part of Origami King with Bobby in it. And like a lot of players, I was blindsided by what they did. Like, that was not only crazy for a Mario game to do, but they just played it completely straight. It's like, damn. I'm trying to be a little vague about it in case you haven't played the game, but it's fairly obvious that this guy is a fan favorite for a reason. Yeah, I loved my time with Bobby. I think he's pretty memorable and fun before the big moments. And he definitely deserves the flowers he's received as pretty much the most iconic character to come out of the modern Paper Mario trilogy. Good on him. Alright, with 292 votes, we have the Hammer Bro. I feel like this reputation has kinda waned over time, but back in the NES era, he was largely considered to be the most hateable and difficult enemy in the game. From the deadly hammers to the sporadic way he jumps up and down, like getting past this guy was considered a feat. Nowadays, he's not really that difficult, but like, he's still a pretty memorable and iconic enemy. It's always fun when he turns up in a spin-off as a playable character, and in general, he has a really long-standing legacy with this franchise, as the first real F you moment the original game throws at you. So yeah, I like Hammer Bro a lot. With 307 votes, we've now got Spike. I wasn't expecting him to do this well, though I have to admit, it could be possible people were voting for Foreman Spike. Most people specified whether it was Spike the green frog enemy or Spike the dude, but if it just said Spike, I gave it to the Frog Boy since I assumed people would say Foreman Spike for the other one. Even so, Spike is pretty popular. Like, he's been gradually making a name for himself in the recent Mario platformers. platformers. And he even became playable for the first time in Mario Party 10, which is a game only 10 people played, sure, but hey, he's back in Jamboree, so that's pretty cool. I like Spike. He's got a pretty funny design, and it can be a blast dodging the shit he throws at you. Next, with 353 votes, it is Bullet Bill. Not much to say, just an absolute icon of the series who shows up in just about everything, and he's got a super fun and memorable design. I looked it up out of curiosity, and fun fact, Bullet Bill has never been playable in any game ever. I guess that's pretty unsurprising. He's mostly just used as an enemy or an item or something. But come on, Nintendo, make a new Mario baseball game or something and throw him a bone with his first playable appearance. He has arms, he can hold a baseball bat, balls in your court, all I'm saying. And with 354 votes, we have someone who has at least been playable once. That, of course, being Chain Chomp. Dude, him being playable in Mario Tennis was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like the way he holds the racket in his mouth, just what an inspired choice. Yeah, Chain Chomps are a pretty fun recurring element of the series. Me personally, whenever I replay Mario 64, the first star I go for in the game is the one where you ground pound the Chain Chomp's post and set him free. It's so fun. Shout out to his appearance in Link's Awakening too. It really is a blast taking one for a walk and having it eat Zelda enemies in one bite. But yeah, a lot of great stuff I could say about the Chain Chomp, but mainly, I'm so proud of him for achieving his dreams of being a tennis player. Moving ahead to a character with 363 votes, we have Starlo. So she's your recurring partner and guide character in the Mario and Luigi games, ever since Bowser's Inside Story. I know a lot of people get frustrated with her because she dunks on Luigi a lot, but aside from that, yeah, I guess she leaves a memorable impression on a lot of people and they really enjoy her. I've never played a game that she's in. I'm a fake fan, what can I say? Alright, this is pretty big. We've made it to the top 50 right now. But unfortunately, there is a tie for 50th place, so we can't definitively get a group of exactly 50 characters. How tragic. With that said, tied for 50th place with 377 votes each, we have Admiral Bobbery and Mr. L. So Bobbery is definitely one of my favorite Paper Mario partners. In Thousand Year Door in particular, he's probably my second favorite. Both a great and surprisingly heartfelt character writing-wise, and an extreme boon in battle. I love blowing shit up with his abilities. I'm just so glad he performed as well as he did. It's nice to know there are other people on the same page as me when it comes to really loving this guy. And then there's Mr. L, who I did count differently from Paper Luigi because, like, yeah, they're two different characters, obviously. Why would I ever group them together? But yeah, I remember when I was younger, Mr. L was just the coolest shit to me and my friends. It's like, what if Luigi was dark and edgy? And it's like, Luigi was already cool as shit. So this only serves to make him like, ultra cool. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Just what an awesome antagonist. I'm a huge fan. Moving on to 49th place with 424 votes, we have Cappy. I kind of get the impression that we all thought Cappy was going to end up being a much bigger deal to the Mario series as a whole than he actually was. He was just like the perfect companion to Mario, since hey, Mario always has a hat on anyway. So why not make his hat alive? It just felt like Cappy had a lot of staying power. Maybe not in the main series going forward, but at least as a playable character in the spin-offs. And then Nintendo just kinda didn't use him at all, so I guess the era of Cappy is kind of over. And yet, as you can see, he's still a very popular character for a lot of people. So I don't know, I feel like Nintendo might be missing out if they don't put him in more sports games, or as another small racer in Mario Kart. I think he'd fit right in. In 48th place, with 2 more votes than Cappy, 426 votes, we have Lakitu. While he's not the most common enemy there is, he's definitely highly prolific thanks to being the referee of Mario Kart, as well as the cameraman in Mario 64, which was a really fun idea. His design is also great in general. I love his nerdy glasses and the way he always rides on a cloud. But yeah, mainly it's probably his omnipresence in Mario Kart that got him this high on the list. Like, he's almost the mascot of the series if you really think about it. So yeah, not a bad showing for him at all. Next up, with 480 votes in 47th place, we have Nabbit. I think Nabbit is really cool because as someone who got into Mario during the Wii era, most of the mainstays of the series were kind of set in stone at that point. So anytime a new character after that was introduced and then went on to become a mainstay, it felt a little more special for me because, hey, I was there. I remember when they first introduced Nabbit. He was a pretty fun little rival you have to catch in New Super Mario Bros. U. And then when they made New Super Luigi U, they said, hey, what if he was playable? That was a crazy, unexpected thing to do, but it was undoubtedly really cool at the time. And I thought that was it for him in the main series, but then Super Mario Bros. Wonder rolls around, and in addition to all the Toads, Yoshi, and Daisy, they figured, why don't we bring Nabbit back? Like, they had no reason to do that, but you know what? I'm happy about it. It's crazy how this weird, unexplained little purple bandit rabbit worked his way up to being a major playable character in the series. But you know what? I'm not complaining. I like having him around. He's got a great design. I just wish they would put him in more spin-offs. Like, it is criminal we didn't get him in the Booster Course Pass, considering he's playable in the mainline 2D platformer. Like, huh? But also, he should really be in Mario Party by now. It's a game where you steal stars. He's perfect for it. Anyway, moving on to 46th place with 490 votes, it is Lemmy Koopa. So Lemmy is smack dab in the middle of the pack when it comes to the Koopalings. And you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. He's just interesting enough to not be in the lower tier, but not nearly goated enough like the top 3 to be any higher. But yeah, I like Lemmy. His design is pretty crazy, his boss fights are pretty silly. He's Lemmy Koopa, man. I don't know what else to say. Next up, in 45th place with 499 votes, it is the one and only King K. Rool. This is about what I expected for a character who's not really heavily associated with Mario at all. Like, I think the only Mario game he appeared in was Mario Super Sluggers on the Wii, and I'm pretty sure that was also his last appearance in any game until Smash Ultimate, so it's been a while. But yeah, he's one of the most fun characters to play as in Smash for me. He's just generally a great villain for Donkey Kong. It would be so nice if he came back in that series. It would be so nice if the series came back in general. Yeah, K. Rool is awesome. I'm a big fan. And I think this is a pretty strong showing for him, considering how little he actually shows up in Mario games. So, initially K. Rool was tied with this next character, but ultimately when we double checked all the votes, we found one miscategorized vote that brought this guy above K. Rool with exactly 500 votes. So, in 44th place, we have Iggy Koopa. So, there you have it. One of the most heavily requested Smash fighters of all time is just barely not as popular as Iggy Koopa. I'm just kidding, in case that wasn't clear. It's not like this is a good metric to judge the popularity of a primarily Donkey Kong character versus a heavily featured Mario character. But yeah, Iggy being the third highest Koopaling makes sense. He's got one of the most memorable designs, and I like how he's the kooky science genius of the group. Pretty good, enjoyable character. Next, in 43rd place with 516 votes, we have our Buckenberry, aka Blue Toad. So I wasn't really expecting Blue Toad to just completely demolish Yellow Toad in the rankings. Like, he got nearly 400 more votes. That's insane. But I mean, I kinda get it. I definitely prefer him over Yellow Toad. He's just got a nicer color scheme. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind if just the default look for Toad was Blue Toad, since that's what both Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3D World do. And yeah, he looks great. I don't know, the blue is just a nicer and more fitting color for this character than the red, in my opinion at least. So yeah, with that said, it probably is Bros 2 and 3D World doing some heavy lifting for Blue Toad compared to Yellow. But even then, there's still the new Super Mario Bros. Games, and of course, Mario Wonder. It's like, what can I really say? Blue Toad is an icon. I don't know how many of you were there for the debacle of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, where it seemed like Blue Toad was removed from the game in favor of Toadette, and people lost their minds. Like, I remember seeing tweets like, give me Blue Toad or give me death. And yeah, I was pretty disappointed too. But then it turns out you can just switch from Yellow to Blue Toad when you're playing the game. You just can't play as both of them at the same time, which is so bizarre. I'm sure you've heard all the complaints about this port before, but at least Blue Toad is in it, I suppose. But yeah, overall a pretty strong showing for just literally a regular Toad but blue. Like, this is an impressive placement. Alright, in 42nd place with 523 votes, we have the Luma. Just an absolutely wonderful mascot for the Galaxy games. They look adorable, they sound adorable. It's so endearing seeing all of them across the Comet Observatory and in the galaxies you visit. I really like how in Mario Tennis Open on the 3DS, they added the Luma as a playable character solely because they didn't have time to make Rosalina. That's kinda cute. I kinda wish the Lumas were playable more often, honestly. They're a delight to have around. Oh, and shout out to the Luma who follows Rosalina around in Mario Kart Wii. I miss you a lot. Alright, in 41st place with 551 votes, we have the runner-up for the Koopaling crown, the one and only Roy Koopa. Without a doubt, this guy is my favorite Koopaling. The pink design looks so good on him, the sunglasses are awesome, he's just got an unmistakable air of coolness that really makes him stick out. Like, even when I'm incredibly tired of the Koopalings as a concept, I could never get fed up with Roy Koopa. He will always be famous. I don't really know if I have that much more to say about him, I just really like him, and clearly a lot of other people do as well. With that said, he just barely lost out on the fan favorite Koopaling status, because right above him in 40th place with 596 votes, we have the most beloved Koopaling of all, Ludwig von Koopa. I don't think this is too surprising. Ludwig has always kind of been a cut above the rest. He's probably the most unique and nefarious one. His hair and overall design go crazy. I love his voice in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, where he's like, oh. And he generally has some of the most interesting boss fights out of all his siblings. Like that one where you're rapidly traveling to the top of his tower on these rails. He's just a super fun and memorable antagonist for you to face off against. And as it turns out, the highest voted Koopaling in the poll. Next up, in 39th place with 636 votes, we have Captain Toad. This is another one that's really cool to me personally because, yeah, I remember playing Mario Galaxy when he was first introduced. And at the time, I didn't really think anything other than, oh, that's cute, they gave this Toad a headlamp and his own little music theme, and he's a captain or whatever. Never did I think this would lead to him getting his own game, in addition to appearing in basically every mainline Mario game from that point onward. It's really crazy what a journey this character has had. But yeah, I'm really happy he keeps coming back. His stages in 3D World were super fun. His own game is even more fun, especially in co-op. And it's awesome how he keeps popping up in stuff like Odyssey and Wonder for little cameos here and there. Again, the progression of this character is absolutely crazy, but I find him delightful, and I can't wait to see where he pops up next. Now for 38th place with 656 votes, it is Dry Bowser. So I never played New Super Mario Bros. DS growing up, but I can imagine how shocked kids across the world must have been to see Bowser's skin melt off after you beat him in that game. What was going on there, Nintendo? Nah, but I'm honestly delighted that they rolled with this idea of a skeletal Bowser as sort of a natural evolution to Dry Bones. I think his design is sick as hell, and he's probably one of the best examples of a clone character in Mario Kart. Like, it definitely didn't take them that long to make his model, but at the same time, he doesn't feel lazy. Like, playing as Dry Bowser has completely different vibes from Wet Bowser. Yeah, for what's mostly just a simple clone character, I think Dry Bowser is a fantastic addition to the series, and clearly a lot of other people do as well. Next up, in 37th place with 680 votes, we have yet another deceased Mario character. That, of course, being Toadsworth. I really just love the fact that everybody agrees, yeah, Toadsworth is dead, solely because Nintendo hasn't made a new game with him in it since Dream Team in 2013. He has only ever appeared in remakes and ports since then. And of course, everyone loves to point out how that one advisor Toad in the Mario movie should have just been Toadsworth, and yet they weren't. So like, seriously, what the hell is going on other than Nintendo canonically considers him dead? I can't think of any other explanation why he's gone from the series. But yeah, Toadsworth is a super likable and fun character to have around. He kind of just slots into the main Mario cast perfectly as Peach's doting caretaker and mentor. He's great in Mario Sunshine. I love his yeah blah 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 voice clips so much. And of course he's pretty prevalent in the Mario and Luigi series as well as Thousand Year Door. He was pretty much everywhere during the GameCube era and they kinda slowly phased him out. Which again, I have no idea why. Please bring him back, we all miss him. Now for 36th place with 704 votes, which is a pretty decent showing for this character, but given the massive amount of hype surrounding them in a certain franchise's discussion, I kind of expected them to do a little better than this. I guess the hype has kind of just died down a little bit over the years. But regardless, this slot, of course, goes to Geno. So for most of my life, I thought the Geno for Smash discussion was pretty ridiculous. Like, obviously he's not major enough of a Mario character to really be a contender. And since I had never played Mario RPG, I had no idea what the hype was all about with this guy. Then I played the remake recently, and I'm gonna be honest, I get it. Like, not to the point where I'm actively putting him on my Smash 6 wish list, but like, Geno is just cool. Like, he's a magical star spirit possessing a wooden doll and shooting enemies with guns. That's so creative and endearing, but also badass. I love unleashing Genoblast on unsuspecting opponents, and like, yeah, I suppose he has a lot less going on character-wise than Mallow, but again, I get why way more people latched onto him in comparison. He's just cool, you know? He's so cool. I don't really think he deserves to be in Smash, but man, I would love if he made it in. Just because it's been such a pie-in-the-sky pipe dream for so long that it would be crazy to see it actually fulfilled. Anyway, moving along to 35th place with 712 votes, we have King Bob-omb. I said this in my Mario Kart character ranking a while back, but King Bob-omb is kinda the perfect character to put in Mario spin-offs. He's just well known enough that it's not an insane, jarring pick, and it'll still appeal to a wide variety of people, but he's not too mainstream to the point where he's a boring or safe pick for a roster. Like, people really liked when they brought him back in the Mario Golf game on Switch, and he's probably my most wanted newcomer for a new Mario Kart. Like, I look at footage of him in Tour, and I think, if only. I think a lot of that comes down to his simple yet perfect design. Like, that Pringle stash is so funny and complements his perfectly round body so well. He's also pretty significant for being the first boss in all of 3D Mario. Like, surely he deserves to be represented in spin-offs more for holding that distinction. So yeah, I am a huge King Bob-omb supporter, and clearly so are a ton of other people. Now with 717 votes in 34th place, we got Monty Mole. Just kind of a cute, simple, yet effective enemy. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a ton more spin-offs. I don't know if I have that much more to say. I mean, he is just a mole, and I'm a little surprised he got so many votes. But clearly, the mole fandom is going strong. The people have spoken. They want more moles. Make it happen, Nintendo. Next, with 763 votes in 33rd place, despite being a character who's only appeared one time before, this placement absolutely does not surprise me in the slightest. It is, of course, Count Bleck. So, quite possibly the most tragic character in the entire Mario series. Like, it's really hard to think of anyone who compares, aside from, obviously, Tippy. But like, dude, this guy lost everything, and the lengths he went to as a result are just insane. Obviously, I don't want to get too into it, because, like, Super Paper Mario is by far the best story ever told in the Mario series. But, holy shit, man, I'm pretty sure I teared up multiple times during this guy's backstory. And on top of that, he's just a really memorable villain to fight against. I love his bleh laugh and everything. But yeah, mainly it's the surprisingly superb drama attached to his character that really makes him stand out and earn this spot in the ranking. And the crazy thing is, he's not even the highest ranked one-off character from Super Paper Mario. I think we all know who that is, but we'll get to him later. Alright, coming in 32nd place with 791 votes, it is in fact Professor Egad. This was probably one of the most misspelled characters in the entire list. A lot of people thought his name was just Egad, one word. A lot of people forgot the period after E. They forgot the second D, or they tried to be cute and write Professor Elvingad. And then some people just forgot his name entirely and said, the doctor from Luigi's Mansion DS or something. I'm gonna assume they were referring to Dark Moon on the 3DS there. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good showing regardless for my boy Elvin here. What I like about Egad is that there's really no one else like him in the series design-wise. Like, he's not a Toad variant, he's not some sort of Koopa. Nah, he's just a quirky, doddering old man. He actually reminds me a lot of Pikmin characters like the President in terms of his design and voice. But yeah, within Mario, he's just wholly unique. He has some great and memorable voice clips. I love the way he says, Luigi! And yeah, obviously he's like the secondary main character of a very popular Mario spin-off series. So he has a lot of exposure. But what's really cool is that he's not restricted to just Luigi's Mansion. I really love how the GameCube era put him in so many different things. Like, he was in Mario Party, he appeared in Superstar Saga, he was even referenced in Sunshine, which I said earlier, that was a crazy thing, and they didn't have to do that at all. But yeah, I love when they invent a Mario character for a certain sub-series, and then they just use them in other things. That's pretty awesome. He hasn't really seen much use outside of Luigi's Mansion lately, which is kind of a shame. But with that said, I also love him in those games. Like, 1 is my favorite, but 2 and 3 specifically is where they really let him get a lot more of a personality. Like, he's kind of a dick to Luigi a lot of the time, and that's pretty funny. But you can tell he still cares enough, and he's a great and valuable partner to have while you bust ghosts. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how he did. Oh, and I almost forgot, apparently he was meant for Mario Kart DS and then scrapped. What are you guys doing? Put him in the series already. Alright, next up with 835 votes in 31st place, we have Goombella. So for being your default partner in Thousand Year Door, Goombella kinda decimated the other partners in the ranking. Except for one. I think we all know which one is the most popular. But yeah, this is a pretty great showing for Goombella, I think. Obviously, I don't really use her in battle that much as I get better partners, but I think with her, a lot of her appeal comes down to just how well written she is. Like, she has something to say about every character and location in the game, and her dialogue is so funny and so enjoyable to read. Playing the early stages of Thousand Year Door recently, I honestly thought to myself multiple times, yeah, I don't really need other partners in this game. What I mean by that is, obviously I prefer the original way of doing it, where there's multiple partners in a Paper Mario game. But Goombella is legitimately charming and funny enough to carry the entire game all by herself as your only partner. Like, she kind of also decimated Huey and Olivia, and well, Kirsty, but you know, everyone decimated Kirsty, so that's not saying much. But those are characters who are with you throughout an entire game. And this one Goomba, who doesn't really get used much in the main story after Chapter 1, scored significantly higher. It's probably because Thousand Year Door is generally the most popular Paper Mario game, but I think it's a testament to how much of an impression Goombella leaves, and how funny and charming she is, that she managed to get 31st place out of the entire Mario series. Like, that's really cool, and I'm happy for her. Alright, now we've made it to the top 30. This is where we really start getting into, like, the icons. The characters that pretty much appear all the time in spin-offs and the main series. The ones that are instantly recognizable for a lot of people. Now, there are a few exceptions. There's definitely still some one-off RPG characters we haven't gotten to yet. But for the most part, yeah, this is the all-star lineup right here. Starting with 30th place with 852 votes, we have Piranha Plants. Okay, so I feel like I can't start anywhere else with this character except for Smash. What the hell happened there? I feel like I've kind of gotten used to him being a fighter, and then I think about it for like 2 seconds, and I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know, it's pretty insane, but it was such a funny, completely unexpected moment in both Smash and Mario history. And like, I don't know about you guys, but I love Piranha Plant in Smash. Like, he has Patooey. Aside from Smash though, Piranha Plant is just everywhere. Like, he's definitely one of the most iconic Mario enemies. You recognize that red body with white spots anywhere. He makes for a fun and memorable obstacle in a lot of Mario games. I like how you can throw him down as a trap in a lot of Mario parties. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Piranha Plant is epic. He's just a little overshadowed by a certain member of his species that we'll get to later. Alright, with 926 votes in 29th place, we have another absolute icon to the Mario series. It is in fact, the Goomba. Goombas are just like the perfect lowest in the hierarchy enemies to have in a video game. Like, they just walk back and forth pretty much, and you jump on them once, and they're dead forever. They really are so satisfying to kill. And they have such a stupid yet lovable design. Like, it's hard to not like the Goomba. And it really is a shame that they're not playable in more Mario spin-offs. Like, I think it was just a couple of the Switch Mario parties and Mario Baseball. There might be some others, but considering how prolific they are, it is weird that they barely ever make it onto a roster. That's probably because they don't have arms, now that I think about it. But yeah, I think Goombas are pretty epic. I mean, they can form Dr. Goomba Tower. You gotta give it up for the Goombas. Come on. Alright, in 28th place with 986 votes, just barely missing out on the 1,000 vote threshold, we have Kamek. Okay, one nitpick I have with Kamek is that I don't like how they have the exact same design as a regular Magic Koopa. Like, one of you has to change, okay? If Kamek had a distinguishing feature to make him stand out design-wise, or if Magic Koopa just looked lesser than Kamek in some way, I would much prefer that, because it gets confusing having both of them look exactly the same. Other than that, yeah, Kamek is great. I often forget that they're kind of the main villain of the Yoshi series. And I think that's really fitting because they serve as Bowser's caretaker very well. It's fun to chase them all throughout a Yoshi game. They have some pretty cool boss fights in the new Super Mario Bros. Games. It was sincerely legendary to get them in Mario Kart 8, considering how they were infamously cut from the Mario Kart 64 roster before release. And now the prophecy has been fulfilled. Like, that's just heartwarming, and I like playing as them in 8 as well. And the scenes they have in the Mario movie are also pretty cute. Kamek is super fun. They definitely stand out really well compared to the rest of the Koopa Troop, and I would love for them to be playable in more things. Alright, now we are past the 1,000 vote threshold. Though, with that said, this next character kind of surprised me because I thought they were a lot more popular than they ended up being. But alas, in 27th place with 1,079 votes, it is your mayor, Pauline. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but this just feels like a bit of a weak showing for her. I thought a lot more people really loved her. But to be fair, it might just be an issue of not having too much exposure yet. Like, I know she appears in a lot of spin-offs nowadays, like tennis, golf, strikers, and of course Mario Kart 8. But it definitely feels like she could be in more things. Like, how has she not joined Mario Party yet? But yeah, overall Pauline's meteoric revival in the series has been pretty incredible to see. Like, obviously she's the first girlfriend Mario ever had from the original Donkey Kong. And then she was kept alive through dinky little minor appearances like in the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games. So it's like, whatever, nobody really cared about her that much. And then all of a sudden, Mario Odyssey decides, let's bring her back and give her the most iconic song in the game to sing. And just completely revive her in the public consciousness. For no real reason. Like, she's not exactly that major in Odyssey. She sings the songs, obviously, but she only appears in that one kingdom for the most part. But damn, it was enough to make everyone fall in love with her, and I think that's really cool. I love having Pauline around. I think she's a great addition to spin-offs, and she has a lot of history with the series as well, so that makes it extra cool. I know there was a bit of backlash with her in Mario Kart 8, since people found it a bit annoying that she sings her songs during most trick animations, but like, I don't know, it doesn't get old for me. But yeah, like I said, I'm a little surprised she's this low, cause like, it feels like everyone loves Pauline nowadays. But I guess she does have a lot of competition with some of the other Mario girls, who have been relevant for way longer. Alright, in 26th place with 1,107 votes, a lot of you might be looking at this guy and saying, who? Since they haven't exactly been relevant for a long time. But if you know, you know. And I knew he was gonna rank pretty high. I'm of course talking about the master of dimensions, pleaser of crowds, Dimentio. So, this might be a bit of a bold claim, but I think Dimentio might be my favorite villain in all of Mario. Like, he has steep competition, but for me personally, no one matches the sheer level of gleeful, pure evil that this guy expresses through every damn line of dialogue he has. I love his design, I love the way he talks, and I think he's especially memorable because of the twist at the end with him. No spoilers, but yeah, it makes perfect sense for his character, and it really sets him apart from the rest of the antagonists in the game in a really good way. Let's also not forget that he is the only Mario character to canonically kill Mario and send him to hell. Like, that actually happens in this game. You're missing out if you haven't played it. His musical theme, particularly the Ultimate Show version, is also a supreme banger. That last boss fight with him is nuts. Oh my god, I just have nothing but good things to say about this guy. I do think the one issue I have with him is sometimes his dialogue veers a little too similarly to that one other Mario RPG villain that came before him, but I think it's distinct enough, and it's mainly his abilities and the sheer incomparable evilness Dimentio gives off that puts him over the top for me personally. He didn't quite rank as the favorite Mario RPG villain or the favorite Paper Mario character, but he got second place in both categories. Like, that's pretty impressive. I'm really happy there's still a ton of people people who love this guy as much as I do. Alright, moving on to the top 25. We have a character with only one more vote than Dementio, and honestly, this might be the biggest underperformer of the top 30 for me. Like, way more than Pauline. I expected this guy to do a lot better. I was really surprised by this. With 1,108 votes in 25th place, we have Diddy Kong. Yeah, I thought he would be a lot more popular. Like, not only do Donkey Kong fans love him, but he's pretty prolific in the Mario series. He's in Mario Kart Double Dash and Wii. He was finally added to 8 after 9 years. I really don't know why it took that long, but it was pretty funny. And he has a decent presence in other spin-offs, like some of the Mario Party games. Me personally, I'm not the biggest Diddy Kong enjoyer, and I can't really describe why. He just doesn't really click with me in anything outside of the Donkey Kong series, where I like him well enough. But I see him in Mario spin-offs and, I don't know, I think he's a little bit annoying sometimes. In general, Diddy is kind of another symptom of the Donkey Kong characters really underperforming based on what I expected. And it was weird, because a lot of people would vote for, like, Donkey Kong, parentheses, if this counts. Like, people were really unsure if Donkey Kong was considered part of Mario. But not only did I say so in the rules of the poll, but like, this didn't happen with WarioWare characters, which I'd argue is way less connected to Mario as a whole. People just voted for those characters anyway. Like, none of them said, ooh woo, I don't know if Jimmy T counts. They just said, f it, another trillion votes to Jimmy T. So I don't know what it was about Donkey Kong that got people so unsure if it counted. Especially because Diddy does appear in stuff like Mario Kart. So I don't know, kind of surprising, but not an awful showing for the little chimp. Next, with 1,146 votes in 24th place, we have Wiggler. Yo, Wiggler Wednesday, let's go! Wiggler is a character I didn't really think much about for a while there while I was growing up. It's like, oh yeah, there's the big caterpillar. He's cool, I guess, I don't know. But I feel like lately, Wiggler's star has really risen a lot. Part of that is probably because of the Wiggler Wednesday meme, but also he just shows up a lot more and he's kind of a delightful little character with a delightful gimmick. It's so fun to have this mellow guy who just becomes enraged whenever you jump on him. He was a weird addition to Mario Kart 7 in the sense where he wasn't based enough like Metal Mario to leave a strong impression, but he also wasn't completely out there like Honey Queen to really stick in people's minds. But with that said, I don't think anyone expected him to be back in Mario Kart 8. And I know a lot of people say they forget he's in the roster, but you know what? I love playing as Wiggler in 8. I think that really sparked an appreciation for the character that I never really had before. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Wiggler's just awesome. He's really cute, his rage gimmick is really funny. It's Wiggler Wednesday every day in this household. Alright, moving on to 23rd place with 1,326 votes. It is Koopa Troopa specifically. And yeah, this is pretty unsurprising. This is an extremely iconic enemy. You think of Mario, you think of those Koopas. Their design is so simple yet so perfect, and I especially love their voice. In general, the Mario series is so great at giving each one of these enemies a unique, distinct, and adorable voice. And Koopas are no exception. As an enemy, it's pretty fun to pick up their shells and throw them at other enemies. And they're also a pretty popular character for Mario spin-offs. Hell, I'm pretty sure they've been in every Mario Kart game as a playable character, which is kinda nuts for just a regular enemy. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm pretty sure in Mario Kart 64 they were replaced with Wario, and also Super Circuit as well. And also in DS, they weren't there either. They were replaced with their own skeleton. Alright, forget I said anything. Yeah, Koopas are fun. They're maybe a little vanilla of an enemy to really be anyone's favorite to play as in spin-offs, or in general. But with that said, they're still obviously incredibly popular, and for good reason. They're just delightful to see again and again in every Mario game. Okay, now for 22nd place with 1,394 votes, it is my man, Petey Piranha. So, what makes Petey so cool to me is the fact that they just took a random boss from a mainline Mario game. And they just kind of rolled with him, you know? Like, for no real reason, they just put him in every spin-off under the sun during the GameCube era. From golf, to tennis, to even Mario Kart. Which, like, Double Dash came out a year after Sunshine. It really is nuts how rapidly the rest of the series adopted this guy. He was in Baseball, Super Princess Peach, Partners in Time, New Super Mario Bros. DS. Dude, he was in fucking Yakuman DS. It's like, what the hell? Not to mention, he was the Mario rep on the boss roster in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Of all the potential bosses they could have picked. Then they kind of dropped him from the regular playable roster for a while. But hey, he's back in Mario Kart, and I couldn't be happier. He's definitely become one of my mains in Mario Kart 8. It's like, this meteoric rise during the GameCube era feels unprecedented. Like, usually a character will get introduced, and it'll take them 3 to 5 years before they really become a mainstay in spin-offs. But with this guy, it's like, they knew what they had immediately. Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend I don't get it with Petey Piranha. He's just ridiculously charming. I love his design, I love his stupid little shorts and his beer belly. He's kind of the perfect natural evolution of the Piranha Plant design. And I don't know why, man, but for some reason I get unreasonably excited whenever he's playable in something. Like, that's my boy. One of my favorite Mario characters for sure, and I can't even tell you why. I just think he's hilarious. And this is a pretty good showing for him in the poll as well. Alright, moving on to number 21 with 1,525 votes, barely missing out on the top 20, we have Boo. Yeah, so Boo is another victim of losing out to a certain other member of his species. But with that said, this is still a pretty good showing for just regular Boo. I love Boos personally. I remember when we were growing up, me and Patrick had a big bin where we collected all the Happy Meal toys we got from McDonald's and Burger King. And we would do this little crossover show with all of them called Movie Mania. And as time went on, we would find our favorites who sort of became the main characters of our fake show. And one of those favorites was Boo after we got the Wii themed Burger King toy of him. So I don't know, I have a lot of fond memories of Boo in particular. And I would pick him a lot in spin-offs as a result. Particularly whenever he was playable in Mario Party. It's like, that's my guy. And when he's not, he's usually the go-to guy to steal a star from other players, which is pretty memorable of a role for him to have. He's like the perfect character thematically to do that. Boos are kind of okay in the regular Mario games. I don't really care for the gimmick of them only moving when you're not looking at them. I mean, it is cool, but I just find it a little annoying when I'm playing. But they are a fun sort of hidden collectible in the Luigi's Mansion games. And I love how all of them have their own unique name, which is a different Boo pun. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to love about regular Boo, but like I said, a certain other Boo might have eaten into his share of votes a little bit. Oh boy, now we come to the top 20. I know I said the top 30 was kind of the icons, but these are like the super icons. These are the untouchably legendary characters the Mario series has to offer. So with that said, coming in at 20th place with 1,654 votes, we have Toadette. This character is so cool to me because she was created to fill a slot in a spin-off. Right? Like, she was just meant to be Toad's partner in Double Dash. So they just made a girl Toad and called it a day. And then she became so popular and so well regarded that she not only worked her way into all the other spin-offs, but she became significant enough to be a playable character in the mainline Mario games. Like, I know New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and specifically certain aspects of Toadette in that game, are pretty infamous. But you gotta admit, for a character that was just pulled out of thin air for Double Dash, that's pretty impressive to have her playable in a mainline platformer. And if you're gonna be like, oh, that's just a port, it doesn't count, well, then she's also in Wonder, so f*** you, I guess. Not to mention Odyssey as well. Like, seeing her as an NPC in that game was the first time I was really like, whoa, she's come a long way. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to hate Toadette. Like, I know she kind of just is Girl Toad, but her design is really cute and unique. I love those little hair thingies she has, and in general, it's just nice to have her around in all sorts of games. I don't have a lot else to say, I just think she's really sweet, and her journey throughout the series is particularly impressive. Alright, coming in at 19th place with 1,751 votes, it is Birdo. Birdo's a lot like Petey Piranha in the sense that she was just a boss in one Mario game. The weird one, in fact. And then for some reason, she just stuck out so much in people's minds that the developers said, hey, let's bring her back and stuff. She was first playable in Mario Tennis on the N64, which came out 12 years after her debut in Mario Bros. 2. You're gonna see this with a couple other characters later on, but that N64 Mario Tennis game was pretty influential in shaping the modern Mario spin-off roster as we know it. But yeah, they really revived Birdo in terms of making her a playable character and stuff. Then the GameCube era really rolled with her, and the rest is history. I've never been a gigantic Birdo fan, but I think she is a nice counterpart to Yoshi to have around. And then obviously there's a lot of talk about Birdo being a transgender icon, but also a lot of people who take issue with the way Nintendo has handled her gender identity over the years. I don't really know too much about it, and I don't want to dive too deep into it as a result, especially considering how there's another trans Mario character who I think most people would agree is handled a lot better. But Birdo does of course have the distinction of being the first transgender character in all of gaming, which is pretty neat. Solid character. I totally understand the love people have for her. Alright, next up, heading into the characters who broke the 2,000 vote barrier. In 18th place with 2,121 votes, we have, completely unsurprisingly, the highest rated Mario & Luigi original character in this poll. It is the fury-having man himself, Fawful. Yeah, Fawful cracking the top 20 and getting over 2,000 votes does not surprise me in the slightest. People adore Fawful. It's kinda crazy. But at the same time, it's extremely easy to see why he's so beloved. He might honestly be the funniest Mario character in existence. Like, it's hard to top his insane, unhinged manner of speaking, and so many of the incredibly memorable lines he has. And like, dude, this is coming from someone who hasn't even played Bowser's Inside Story. But I just know from his relatively smaller role in Superstar Saga that, oh yeah, this guy is unbelievably hilarious. That's another thing too. I think it's really cool how they took the henchman from Superstar Saga, who obviously made a huge impression on people, way more so than the actual villain, Cackletta. And then, after I believe the brief cameo he had in Partners in Time, they said, why not? Let's just make him the main villain of the third one. Again, they knew what they had with Fawful. Just an amazing, extremely memorable villain who only got better for a lot of people as the original trilogy went on. And now you see tons of people begging for him to be the first RPG original character in spin-offs, like Mario Kart. Honestly, yeah, I think that would be amazing. At the very least, it would be awesome to see him back in the main Mario & Luigi series. I don't think that's gonna happen in Brotherhood, but like, the devs know how popular Fawful is. And now you do too. He is the 18th most popular Mario character according to this poll. That's quite an outstanding feat for a villain exclusive to the RPGs. And yeah, the more I talk about him, the more I realize I think I really need to play Bowser's Inside Story already. Like, I heard it's the fan favorite in the series. And generally I think Superstar Saga is the second most liked game. And hey, look at that. Both of those games have Fawful in them. Wow. Oh yeah, one last thing. I know a lot of people are like begging for a Fawful Dimentio team up. That could have been a really cool addition to the official Mario & Luigi and Paper Mario crossover. Oh well, I guess. Alright, moving swiftly along to 17th place with 2,326 votes, we of course have Bowser Jr. I love the way the Smash announcer says his name. It's so funny for no reason. So yeah, this is about what I expected for Bowser Jr. Like, obviously he's a well-known and pretty well-liked character who appears a ton. Like, he's more or less the secondary villain of the Mario series as a whole, right? He appears in just about everything from 2D to 3D Mario to basically every spin-off. But at the same time, I don't know if I necessarily see a ton of people say they love Bowser Jr. as a character, you know? Like, people definitely like him, but I don't know if anybody says, oh yeah, Bowser Jr., that's my favorite Mario character. I think he definitely benefited from the poll asking people for 5 characters instead of just 1, because he's probably a lot of people's 4th or 5th favorite Mario character. And yeah, I think he did pretty well for himself in this poll. I don't really want to shit on Bowser Jr. too much. I think he's a pretty fun and memorable side antagonist. He was a great addition to Mario Sunshine as basically the main villain of that game. It was a fun twist that he was Shadow Mario the whole time, and yeah, from there the GameCube kinda instantly adopted him, much like Petey Piranha. Though it definitely makes a lot more sense for Bowser Jr. Like, as the son of Bowser, he was kinda destined to become pretty significant going forward, and it would be weird if they just dropped him after one game. And I like how the new Super Mario Bros. Games prove that he can coexist alongside the Koopalings. It was pretty nice that he didn't outright replace them, even though he definitely did for the Koopa Kids in Mario Party. Rip Bozos, I guess. And yeah, overall he's a pretty fun character. It was pretty crazy how the Koopalings made it to the base Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, and then Bowser Jr. wasn't added until the Switch port. I don't know what was going on there. And it is nice that all of them got to be in Smash thanks to Junior's ults. I know Junior isn't exactly the most popular character in Smash, but I always really like it when an ult can add an entirely new character to the roster without much work. and he gives us 7 of those, so that's pretty cool. I also think it's funny how Smash is what kind of spurred the idea of him always using his clown car in the Mario spin-offs. Like, he used it before Smash, but it feels like after Smash, they really had to justify that, oh yeah, this is an integral part of his character. So like, in Mario Tennis now, he just uses the clown car instead of his legs. I think that's pretty funny. So yeah, pretty solid character. I like him. Now, out of everyone in the top 20, numbers 15 and 16 were the ones that fluctuated the most. Back and forth, these two characters would constantly switch positions, and it ended up being a pretty intense race as we kept tallying up more and more votes and misspellings and all that. So, in the end, one of these characters beat the other for a spot in the top 15 by a margin of 2 votes, which was pretty insane. It was a long and arduous race, but you know, 16th place is nothing to sneeze at for sure. So, with a score of 2,873 votes, we have by far the most beloved Paper Mario character and Mario RPG character in general. I'm pretty sure you all saw this coming. It is, of course, Vivian. So like, obviously the recency of the Thousand Year Door remake definitely helped her out, but even if the remake hadn't just come out, I think she was a shoo-in for the most popular Paper Mario character. It's just so novel to have a character in the Mario series who is just unabashedly trans. Like, within the text of the game, there's no doubt about it, Vivian is a trans girl. She gets bullied for this by her sisters who don't recognize her as such, and so she ends up leaving them and joining Mario and his team, who actually do accept her. And that's obviously an extremely special thing for a lot of trans people to see in this incredibly popular Mario game. Like, I think it's a great expression of Vivian finding her true family, the one she chooses for herself, instead of staying with the people who make her miserable. And they don't just do that because of her being trans. Like, Beldum is horrible and verbally abusive to her in general. So for her to say, I'm not gonna put up with you in my life anymore, is just really inspiring and beautiful for a silly Mario RPG. I also think the idea of there being a villainous trio who you fight against, only for one of the trio to break away from the evil doing and help you instead, it's just the kind of novel plot twist and progression that really shows how much care went into the narratives of the original Paper Mario trilogy. I think it's especially cool because Vivian joins you at your lowest point. Like, you got your identity and body and partner stolen, you just have nothing. But you show a bit of kindness to this girl, and in turn, she decides to help you out. That's just really special, I think. Vivian is also up there with Bobbery as one of my favorite party members in battle. I just love punching enemies and setting them on fire to do damage over multiple turns. I love how she's always sticking out of the ground, especially while she's still connected to a platform lower than you, and you get to see long Vivian in action. In general, her design is really cool, and like, I don't know man, there's just nothing but good things to say about Vivian. Even without her being transgender representation, she's just a great, memorable, and lovable character. And even though I completely expected her to rank this high, it is still really cool to see just how many people love her and find her incredibly special, for sure. With that said, beating her out for the top 15 by the narrowest of margins, with 2,875 votes, the 15th most popular Mario character is my man, Funky Kong. Okay, so you know how I said earlier that a lot of people were unsure about whether or not Donkey Kong characters counted? They were like, ooh woo, Diddy Kong, if that counts. Ooh woo, does King K. Rool count? Yeah, I'm just gonna say, none of that applied to Funky Kong at all. People were confident when they voted for him. And I think that totally makes sense, because you know how a lot of people say Captain Falcon is more of a Smash character at this point than he is an F-Zero character? Honestly, I'd argue Funky Kong is more of a Mario Kart character than he is a Donkey Kong Country character now. Not only because Mario Kart is just a lot more popular than the Donkey Kong games, but Funky just feels so much more significant to its history than he does for his home series. Because really, in Donkey Kong Country, he's kind of just the shopkeeper, you know? Like, you buy items from him in every game, and that's it. The only one where he's actually playable is the Switch port of Tropical Freeze, with, of course, the new Funky mode. And that's pretty cool and all, I enjoy playing as him there. But, like, he would not rank nearly this high if it wasn't for Mario Kart. He is undoubtedly the defining character of Mario Kart Wii. Not only the best in the meta, but easily the most popular. Like as a kid, I didn't know he had the best stats. He was my main because he was awesome and hilarious. His design is incredible, his voice is unbelievably iconic. Like dude, I don't need to sell you on Funky Kong. He's so cool. See, this is the kind of out there pick for a Mario Kart roster that paid off immensely. Like, sometimes you get a huge miss, like Honey Queen. Sometimes you get one people are still trying to make up their minds about, like Rob the Robot. But sometimes you get the most beloved and talked about character to ever grace the Mario Kart series. And man, it is so great to have him back in 8. I love how he uses his surfboard and his tricks. He's as beautiful as the day I lost him, etc, etc. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say, man. He's cool enough in the Donkey Kong games, but Mario Kart is by far what made him into the icon he is today. Like, he even demolished Diddy in the rankings. That's how much people are obsessed with this guy. And yeah, I'm completely on board with all the love for him. He lives up to the hype entirely. He's Funky Kong, man. Alright, moving along past the 3,000 vote barrier. In 14th place with 3,063 votes, we have King Boo. So out of all the characters in this poll, King Boo definitely had the most people specifying a certain design for him. Like, I can't tell you how many votes specified the Luigi's Mansion version of King Boo and not that fraud from Mario Kart. Look, I just kind of lumped all of them together because at the end of the day, it's the same King Boo. Like, the Mario Wiki lists them both as being the same character. In fact, weirdly enough, the one that it says is a different King Boo is the one in Mario Sunshine, which I don't know what the criteria is there, but yeah, King Boo is King Boo regardless of what he looks like. The Mario Wiki said so. But yeah, King Boo obviously has a lot of appeal as the main villain of the Luigi's Mansion games. That design is so unique and so creepy. I really dig it. But also he has a ton of personality to boot. The way he goes, "Oh, Luigi, you slurp, slorp, vacuumed up my friends." He makes a Jabba the Hutt reference in the first game. And he's also got a ton of personality and menacing moments in the sequels. I really like how in 3, he's just fucking massive all of a sudden. Like, he's pretty intimidating in that one. But yeah, a great presence across this series, and he obviously benefits from being a recurring face in Mario spin-offs. Like I said in my Mario Kart character ranking all that time ago, he was my second favorite character in the series. And I think the Booster Course Pass might have shuffled a few things around in that regard. I think I've grown a little more appreciation for Petey Piranha and Pauline, but King Boo is definitely still up there for me. I really love how he sticks his tongue out while you're riding a bike with him in Wii. His voice clips are obviously great. He's just in general a fun and memorable side character who definitely clears regular Boo. Like, given the option, I'll take the one with the crown, sure. But with that said, like a lot of people, I do really wish they would use his Luigi's Mansion design in anything but Luigi's Mansion. It's just so much cooler and creepier looking. Plus, it's way more unique than just regular Boo with a crown. Overall though, yeah, he's up there as a favorite of mine. The only other things I can say about him is that he was weirdly implemented in Wonder. Like, I don't know why that wasn't just Boohemoth instead. It was a weird place to put the king. And aside from that, he looked damn awful in the Mario movie. Like, it felt like they only had a couple days to throw his model together, and I kind of wish they wouldn't have bothered. It was pretty funny though. Alright, next up in 13th place with 3,585 votes, we have maybe the first unambiguous main character in the series. Like, you could maybe argue that Bowser Jr. is one of the main characters, but you can also counter-argue that. But with this character, yeah, there's no debate. This is absolutely a main Mario character. It is, of course, Toad. This placement kinda surprises me, but also it kinda doesn't. Cause while you'd think Toad would be more popular, you gotta remember that he had a lot of different variants that kinda ate into his percentage of the votes. Like, Blue Toad specifically got 500 votes, Yellow Toad got another 100, Captain Toad, of course, got a ton of votes. So it's like, if you combined all the different Toad votes together, he would've ranked a little bit higher. But, you know, those are their own unique characters, technically. This is specifically just Toad. And yeah, Toad is cute. I like him. He definitely has one of the most distinct and unforgettable voices out of any character in the series. I'm not gonna do it right now, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Honestly, before they settled on his modern voice, I actually really liked his voice in Mario Kart 64 specifically. Like, something about those lines were so funny, the way they were delivered. I'm the best! Yeah, Toad is obviously a major fixture of the series. He's in pretty much every game, and it's obviously a little ambiguous, like who counts as Toad and who counts as a Toad. I think in the spin-offs it's pretty clear, like you're playing as the Toad, or it's the Toad hosting a Mario Party game. But sometimes you see a Toad with a red head and blue vest in a mainline game, and you're like, is that him? Is that the Toad? I don't know. It also doesn't help that 3D World and Bros 2 both have a playable character named Toad. But you look at him and like, isn't that Blue Toad? I don't know, it's all a little bit confusing. But with all that said, whenever we officially see Toad, he's a pretty cute addition to any roster. He has a simple yet iconic design. He's just a really adorable character to have around. Probably would have been a little higher if he just had a more distinct identity compared to the rest of his species. But still, not a bad showing for him at all. Okay, in 12th place with 3,918 votes. If you had told me this character performed that well, I would have been surprised for like 2 seconds, and then I would have thought about it and said, actually, yeah, that's about right. The 12th most popular Mario character is Dry Bones. For such a relatively normal and common enemy, you can definitely see that this guy has a huge fandom. Pretty much anywhere Mario related I go on the internet, I see a ton of people talking about how much they love Dry Bones. And for a while, I couldn't really figure out why. I mean, I like him too, but damn, this much? But I think I figured out the main reason why. I have no proof of this at all, but it just feels right. It's because he was in Mario Kart DS, and that's a game with only like 12 characters on the roster. Most of which are pretty common Mario characters you can play as in anything. I think for a lot of people, Dry Bones was their main because he was one of the most unique and exciting picks. Like, it's either him or the weird robot who I don't really know how to feel about. I didn't grow up with Mario Kart DS, but I feel like I definitely would have latched on to Dry Bones if I had. And on top of that, he's a pretty recurring face in not just the following Mario Kart games, but the rest of the series as a whole. His design is the perfect blend of cute, yet cool, right? Like, it's adorable, but it also goes kinda hard. And on top of that, he pretty much appears in every mainline Mario platformer, both 2D and 3D. I think he's missing from a couple, like Sunshine and Odyssey, but for the most part, he has a lot of exposure. He got added to the later Mario parties as a playable character, he shows up in a lot of the RPGs, he has a cameo in the Wii U and Switch versions of Lego City Undercover, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, primarily, I feel like a lot of his appeal came from Mario Kart, and Mario Kart DS in particular. He's just an awesome enemy conceptually, and an even better playable character. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Dry Bones for Smash. Alright, in 11th place, with a score of 4,197 votes, just barely missing the top 10. You know him well. He's the leader of the bunch. It is DK. Donkey Kong! Once again, there were a lot of people who said Donkey Kong parentheses, that counts, right? When they voted for him. And it's like, okay, I can understand saying that for the lesser known Kongs, but like, I don't know what planet Donkey Kong wouldn't count for a Mario poll on. Like, he was a main character in the movie, he's playable in every single Mario Kart aside from the original, which had Donkey Kong Jr. It's like, how could he possibly not count? And again, nobody had this problem when voting for Funky Kong, so I don't know what it is about the rest of these simians that turn people off from voting. So yeah, I'd say Donkey Kong probably underperformed a little bit compared to my expectations, but like, then again, the top 10 are pretty hard to beat. With one exception that really surprised me, the top 10 is pretty much what you'd expect, and there's no shame in just barely falling short of the rest of them. But yeah, Donkey Kong is cool. Obviously a lot of people don't like it when he's lumped in with the rest of the Mario cast, since he does have his own series of excellent platformers. But unfortunately, they are a little bit more niche than a lot of the Mario games he appears in. It really is a shame. I love the Donkey Kong Country series, but more people definitely know him from Mario stuff, and I think he's always a cool addition to any roster he's in. Fun in Mario Kart, fun in both the early and late Mario parties when he's playable, and the GameCube ones where he kind of becomes the anti-Bowser who gives you good stuff. Mainly though, my favorite depiction of him is DK64. His voice clips in that game are just unfathomably iconic. Like, yeah, and okay. Just so good. That to me is the quintessential Donkey Kong voice. His design is great, he's pretty fun in Smash, and even though the original Donkey Kong is technically a different character, Donkey Kong as a name and brand has a lot of history obviously, as the one who spawned all this Mario stuff in the first place. So yeah, much respect to the King of Swing. He is really awesome and stuff. Hoo boy, we have officially reached the top 10 most popular Mario characters as voted by you. I know I said the top 20 was the icons, but now for real. These are the characters that you can just show any person on the street and they'll probably recognize them. These are the legends. For the most part, you probably know exactly who's in here. And it's all a matter of just seeing how they stack up compared to each other. So with that said, coming in at 10th place with 4,356 votes, it is the lovely Princess Peach. Yeah, I don't know about you, but that seems about right to me. Like, I knew Peach would do really well, but also I didn't expect her to do too well, you know? It kind of feels like among the main Mario girls, Peach is kind of the least popular with the least interesting personality. So it doesn't really surprise me that the other ones ranked higher. But with that said, number 10 is still an excellent placement for our beloved princess. I think the quality of depictions of Peach can vary wildly from game to game, and that's probably why she's a little bit lower than some of the other characters. I mean, in a lot of mainline Mario, she's just kind of there to be captured, and it doesn't help that in games like Sunshine, she just acts incredibly ditzy and oblivious to stuff that's going on. But I personally love how they're kind of starting to break away from the typical Peach getting kidnapped storyline in stuff like 3D World and Wonder, and instead they're actually making her playable, which is so cool. Obviously her iconic floating ability comes into play in a lot of these games. Not in Wonder, but in 3D World, and of course, Bros too. And that's awesome. I think Peach is my main in these games, because it's fun to float around the levels. On top of that, I think they use her really well in the RPGs. Like, it was really novel back in Super Mario RPG to have her be one of the playable party members. We got into this with Paper Peach earlier, but I love her role in the original Paper Mario trilogy, especially the N64 one. In the spin-offs, she's a fun, dainty character to play as. Obviously, she gets a lot of cool new outfits, like her biker fit in Mario Kart. That's pretty awesome. And of course, we can't forget her own games. Well, okay, maybe we can forget Super Princess Peach, actually. I feel like most people want to. But with that said, it really seems like Princess Peach Showtime is really clicking with its target audience of young girls. That's really what Peach is all about as a character. Like, it's great to give girls a cool, pretty princess to play as. And guys as well. Like, that floating ability is really sweet. There's a bit of a debate about her character where some people didn't like how the Mario movie took away or downplayed her femininity, which I can understand. I mean, you can make a character both feminine and proactive at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive traits. But I think things got a little crazy when they got mad about the Showtime box art slightly tweaking the design of her face. Like, do you guys have real problems or what? I don't know. I guess I do like Peach as this symbol of traditional femininity, who also just happens to be a supreme badass. Like, I think those things go pretty well together, and you can especially see it in Smash, where she attacks you with her rump and a frying pan. Not to mention her final smash. Like, it seems really lame at first, just putting people to sleep with a lullaby. And then you kind of realize, oh wait, that's one of the most broken final smashes in the whole game. I think that's a good reflection of Peach as a character. She seems really stereotypical at first, but then if you pay attention, you can see that, oh, she's kinda badass actually. So yeah, I really like her. Just not as much as those other two Mario girls we'll get to. Now for our number 9 favorite Mario character. And this might surprise some of you, but for me personally, much like Peach, this is about what I expected for him. So, with 5,082 votes, the 9th most popular Mario character is in fact the main man, Mario himself. There's kind of this recurring joke in the Mario fandom, how Mario is nobody's favorite Mario character. Like, with a cast this kooky and memorable, it just kind of feels boring to say, oh yeah, normal Mario, that's my favorite character. I'm pretty guilty of this myself. I made a point about how I find it boring to pick him in Mario Kart compared to literally any other character, who you don't get to play as nearly as often. I made this one tweet about the large roster in Wonder, asking who the hell is gonna pick Mario out of all these characters to play as. I don't know, that made a lot of people upset. So this time I want to be fair and nice to Mario, because it's not like I dislike him as a character. And I don't really think anybody else does either. Like, he is the face of the franchise. The face of Nintendo as a whole, really. And part of what makes the series so popular is just his lovable, endearing design and funny voice. Like, he's an amazing mascot who you don't really get tired of seeing anywhere. I think we're all kind of just so used to playing as him in the mainline platformers that we've kind of grown immune to his undeniable charm. Like, really take a step back for a second and think about how funny it is to have this Italian plumber jumping around the place and going, Mamma Mia! He's just brimming with personality. And a lot of people like to say that he doesn't have a personality compared to other Mario characters because he's gotta be the face of Nintendo. So he can't be too expressive and unique. I don't know, man. I think he still does have a lot of personality. Sure, he doesn't really talk in any of the games because you're meant to be immersed in the idea of playing as him, but just his voice clips and his facial expressions are so iconic and memorable. It's like you can really do a lot with a little with him. I would never deny what an amazing and fun character Mario is. I just think the main issue with him is overexposure. Like, I don't get tired of him as a mascot of Nintendo, but my mindset with him is he's the only character I can play as in Mario 64, in Sunshine, in Odyssey, in so many of the regular platformers. So as a result, I don't really see the appeal of picking him in a spin-off game where I can play as King Boo or Petey Piranha, or hell, even just Bowser. It's like, I'd much rather prefer to play as a character who I never have any other opportunity to play as. And I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. I've played a lot of Mario Party with a lot of different friend groups, and not once has anyone I've played with ever selected Mario. It's like, the character you main in something like Mario Party, where they don't have unique stats or anything, is almost like an extension of you as a person, you know? Like, you're telling everyone, this is the character I connect with the most. And I feel like nobody wants to do that with Mario, because he just feels more like an extension of Nintendo as a brand. Nobody wants to be represented by Mario in a spin-off, because that just seems a little boring compared to the rest of the roster you could be using. And don't get me wrong, these are just the people I play Mario Party with. There's probably a lot of people out there who do main Mario, and more power to you for sure. I just kind of wanted to give a rationale for why I think Mario only got 9th place, despite this being his series. I just think at the end of the day, a lot of people don't really consider him their favorite character because he's everywhere. And naming him as your favorite doesn't really make you stick out as a unique person. So I think overexposure probably played a role in him not getting a huge amount of votes. But with that said, 5,000 is still nothing to sneeze at. All those people used one of their 5 voting slots on him, so that's not a bad showing in the slightest. With that said, this next character is probably the biggest shock of the entire top 10. Like, I knew they were popular, but it's hard for me to even process that they're this level of popular. Coming in 8th place with a score of 5,846 votes, a more popular Mario character than Mario himself, it is Shy Guy. By far the most popular regular enemy in the entire poll. It's like, I kinda get it, but also, damn, 8th place? Higher than Mario, Peach, Donkey Kong, and Toad? I'm not complaining, by the way. I think he totally deserves it. I'm just in complete shock that he did this well. You know how there's that whole meme about how Shy Guy has undergone 0 design changes since 1999, and that is because he is without flaw? I know it's a meme, but it's also hard to argue against that unironically. Like, this design is kinda perfect. He's adorable, but also so mysterious at the same time. It's like, what is hiding beneath that mask? He makes the cutest noises out of maybe any character in the series? Bold claim, I know, but I don't know, man. I think his little sounds are absolutely adorable. I think it's really cool how, much like Birdo, he originated from Super Mario Bros. 2, which wasn't even designed as a Mario game. And yet, he was just so iconic and lovable that they made him a mainstay in Mario spin-offs. That's the other crazy thing about Shy Guy. He's not even like a major enemy in the Mario series. Like, he's in Bros 2 and that's it. He's more of a Yoshi enemy, and then he mainly sticks to Mario spin-offs aside from that. And even then, he's not playable in everything. So his first playable appearance was in Mario Tennis on the N64. Again, that game was really a kingmaker when it came to making iconic Mario characters playable for the first time. Then he was in the GameCube Mario Tennis, and that's it for that series. He wasn't playable in Mario Golf until the Switch version. He wasn't playable in Mario Party until 9, and then he just appeared in Super and Jamboree. And don't even get me started on Mario Kart. He debuted in DS as a character exclusive to download play. You could not select him on the normal roster. He was only available if you played with a friend who didn't own the game. And then that friend is forced to play as Shy Guy. He only got to actually be an official part of the roster in 7 and 8. So with such a sporadic list of appearances in both the main platformers and in a playable capacity in the spin-offs, his popularity is kind of insane, right? Like, people are damn obsessed with Shy Guy. And like, it's not hard to see where the hype is coming from. They are so adorable, so endearing, so fun to have around. It's like, I'm not a Shy Guy main or anything, but sometimes, yeah, I have the undeniable urge to play as them because they are so damn likable. It's hard to really know what else to say, honestly. Like, you just look at Shy Guy and you get it. What an absolute icon. Barge it on into 7th place with 6,118 votes. We've got Wario. Wario is so cool to me because he's like the most versatile character in the Mario series, right? In fact, I made a whole analysis video about the wildly different roles he plays in various Mario games and the multiple sub-series he has. Multiple being 2, but hey, he has a couple other one-off games to himself as well. It's like, most people know him as the evil Mario. He's obviously really famous for his appearances in Mario spin-offs, and even some mainline titles. And by some, I'm pretty sure it's just Mario 64 DS, which, you know, for some people might not even count because it's a remake. And then, of course, his debut in Super Mario Land 2, which, again, for some people, the Mario Land games are tenuous if they're considered main series, but whatever, I'm not gonna get into that right now. It's like, Wario is always a delightful addition to any game he's in. I particularly always main him in the N64 Mario parties, solely because of how good his voice lines are. Oh my god! I missed! Like, that is classic right there. But then, a lot of people like him for what a great and expressive star of the Wario Land series he is. Which is so funny because he just took over Mario Land. He rips that sub-series from Mario. The first game is literally called Wario Land Super Mario Land 3. So he's got his own set of pretty beloved platformers that play completely different from Mario games, and really get to showcase his gross, loud, boisterous personality. So that's pretty cool. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he becomes the star of an entirely new series based around playing a bunch of 5-second micro games. I went into this in the Wario video, but it was kind of an original idea for a series, and they attached Wario to it as the main character because he's always doing stupid things and is really idiotic. So that really goes to show how much of an impression Wario makes as a character. That they thought of him for this and made him the face of this wacky, quirky series. And I love WarioWare, in case you didn't know. I think it's really slept on by a lot of Nintendo fans. The gameplay is insanely fun and addictive, and the cast is super quirky and lovable. Tonally, it's kind of like if the anime Nichijou was a video game. I am just a big WarioWare enjoyer, and obviously I love the man himself a ton. I will admit, I do prefer his yellow overalls look overall. You see what I did there? But yeah, I know that's not like his authentic self or whatever I said. But visually, it just looks better and it's more iconic. He's also pretty versatile because you can just make him a villain and stuff, and it kind of works. I know a lot of people have issues with how he was portrayed in Brawl's Subspace Emissary, but it was a decent little change of pace compared to what I'm used to with Wario. Oh, and sometimes they'll just make something completely random and stand alone with his character just because. Like, what the hell is Wario Master of Disguise? Or more importantly, what the hell is Wario World? I feel like an insane person every time I see footage of Wario World. It does not look like a real game at all. Nobody talks about it. Am I just hallucinating it? Do you guys remember the 3D Wario platformer on the GameCube where he fights evil clowns? How is this a real thing that got released and people played and just what is going on? But yeah, Wario's great. I love the guy. Alright, moving right along to 6th place. This was another pretty close race for a while between this and the number 5 character. Like, initially it was as close as Funky Kong vs. Vivian. But then as we started to see more misspellings and alternate language names for the number 5 character, they pretty handily pulled ahead, and it was clear that this one was just barely missing out on the top 5. But with that said, with 7,964 votes, you know what? I'm just gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
The Princess of Sarasaland, it's Daisy. Yeah, it really did not surprise me at all that Daisy outperformed Peach by a wide margin. Because I like Peach, but you gotta admit, she seems a little boring next to Daisy, right? Like, Daisy is energetic and fierce, and she has a fun tomboy personality. And her voice is pretty unforgettable. Hi, I'm Daisy will haunt my dreams for years to come. So Daisy obviously had her debut in the weird-ass Super Mario Land. And there was like no reason for that game to be set in a different kingdom with a different princess, other than the fact that it was just weird as shit. But yeah, Daisy was born. And then she didn't really become a recurring fixture in the series until, again, Mario Tennis on the N64. I'm telling you, so much of the series as we know it today is owed to that one tennis game of all things. But yeah, Camelot revived her when they made Mario Tennis. She was quickly adopted by every other spin-off under the sun, which is good because it's nice to have another playable girl on the roster. Like, it was literally just Peach before her, so it's pretty easy to see why she caught on. And then of course you have the whole, oh, Luigi needs a romantic partner angle. I think that actually dates back to NES Open Tournament Golf, where she's Luigi's caddy. And that was her only post-Mario Land appearance for like 11 years. It really wasn't until Mario Tennis where she became a real fixture in the series. But yeah, it's easy to see why she's so beloved. She shows up all the time with a very distinct and memorable personality. She's just a fun ball of energy, and it's just pretty impressive how many people know about and love her, considering for a while there, she was mainly just a spin-off character. Like, she only became playable in a Mario platformer for the first time in Super Mario Run on mobile devices. And then if you don't think that's a real Mario platformer, she obviously made her grand debut in a console one in Mario Wonder, which was a nice surprise. I remember reading that she was only added because one of the developers had two daughters who always fought over who got to play Peach. And I don't know, man, I feel like that was just kind of a no-brainer reason to add her way earlier in the series. Speaking of a no-brainer, I had been saying for years that Sakurai should just make a clone of Peach in Smash and have it be Daisy. I wanted that since Brawl, so I felt so vindicated when it finally happened in Ultimate. And yeah, a lot of Peach's moves don't really fit Daisy. She doesn't really have any differences at all gameplay-wise from Peach. But honestly, I would rather have a playable Daisy than a not playable Daisy, and she fits enough. You know, it's not like Ganondorf levels of not fitting. It was really nice to finally get her in there. And then circling back to Wonder, I played the entire game as her because, like, when else am I gonna get that opportunity? All these other jokers have been playable in other Mario platformers. But yeah, if they keep the multiple playable characters thing going for 2D Mario, which I really hope they do, then I sincerely hope Daisy is there for all of them. She's an awesome character. But, unfortunately, she just barely missed out on the title of Best Mario Girl. She was in that tight race with a certain other one. So with that said, in 5th place with 8,001 votes, it is the scientifically proven Best Mario Girl, that of course being Rosalina. So like I was saying about Nabbit earlier, Rosalina is so special to me because I was there from day one with her. I played Mario Galaxy and found her just so enchanting and elegant and beautiful. She just instantly became one of my favorite characters in the series, and I think for a lot of other fans, the same is absolutely true. She's the rare mainline Mario character to have an actual backstory. A really sad and powerful one, which I'm so glad they included in the game. Rosalina's storyline is just one of those things that really sets Mario Galaxy apart from the other 3D Marios. It just makes it feel a lot more artistic and emotionally effective, if that makes sense. I know it's a really small and optional part of the game, but like, that coupled with the elegant, beautiful music and gorgeous visuals of space, I don't know, it just really makes it feel like something special compared to the other 3D Marios. But anyway, back on track with Rosalina. She then got her grand playable debut in Mario Kart Wii just a couple months later, which I think was quite a shock for a lot of people. Like, normally, it takes a little bit before a Mario character gets adopted by the spin-offs. Over a decade in some cases, like with Daisy. But Mario Kart Wii throwing her in there and making it so you can unlock her early by having a Galaxy save file was the coolest thing ever. And yeah, I just loved playing as her as a kid. Then things went quiet with her for a little bit, and we thought, okay, maybe this was a one-time thing. She didn't appear in any other spin-offs for a couple years. She had a substantially smaller role in Galaxy 2. They finally brought her back for Mario Kart 7, and it's like, okay, maybe she'll just be in Mario Kart games. Cause like, she was absent from Mario Sports Mix, Mario and Sonic, Mario Party 9, Mario Tennis on the 3DS. It just felt like they weren't fully adopting her, even though I wanted them to more than anything. Since not only did I love her character, but I had a real emotional attachment to Galaxy. And then everything kind of shifted in 2013. Not only with the reveal of her being playable in Mario 3D World, a mainline Mario title, but also her being playable in Super Smash Bros. I was kind of dumbfounded by that. I was like, already? Like, I really wanted that because I love her character, but I thought she had to pay her dues a little more in the Mario series and be in more stuff. But no, that was just so cool to see. And yeah, I feel like the rest is pretty much history at this point. From now on, if you're a Mario spin-off game that doesn't have Rosalina in the roster, there's something wrong with you, I don't know. I honestly can't remember the last spin-off that didn't have her playable. Like, she is officially and undoubtedly the third pillar of the Mario female characters. She's kind of been absent from the mainline games for a while. It seems like 3D World was kind of a one-time thing in that regard. I don't know, I'd love to have her back, but she's also kind of a show-stealing character who's heavily tied to Galaxy. So maybe it's best to not have her in games where she could potentially overshadow the unique tone and feel they're going for in each of those games. But yeah, I love Rosalina. It seems like everybody loves Rosalina. I'm so thrilled to see her in every spin-off. Like, I'm kind of used to it by now, but then I really take a step back and think, that's the cool lady from Mario Galaxy. Like, I don't know, I think it's just unbelievably special to see a character I grew up loving be in everything nowadays. And look, if no one else is gonna say it, I will. She's also viciously attractive in both her biker and tennis outfits. Like, I will stand up to be counted among the Rosalina simps. Sorry. Okay, moving swiftly along to 4th place with 8,593 votes, we have our lovable green boy. There's like a 50-50 chance it could be one of two different characters right now, and you're probably on the edge of your seat wondering which one. It's Yoshi! I don't know a single person on the planet who hates Yoshi. Like, it's practically impossible to. He's adorable, he's useful, he's epic. It's like, if you put Yoshi in a Mario game, any interest just immediately perks up. He was the defining addition to Super Mario World back in the day. He made every stage 10 times more fun with his ability to eat enemies. And then of course they followed that up with Yoshi's Island, which that original Yoshi's Island might just be one of my favorite 2D platformers of all time. I adore that game to no end. They introduced his egg throwing ability and his flutter jump there, and then Yoshi ended up having his own sub-series of games, which became so prolific and prevalent that he ended up being one of the original 12 fighters in Super Smash Bros. Like, we never really stopped to think about what a feat that is, because everyone there had their own distinct series, you know? Even Donkey Kong has a lot of history and games separate from Mario. But then in comes this green dinosaur who's introduced just to be Mario's steed, and he becomes so popular and so beloved that he spawns his own spin-off series worthy of being recognized as one of the major pillars of Nintendo in their fledgling crossover fighting game. That is the sheer power of Yoshi as a character. It's like, nobody says, yeah, he didn't belong in the original Smash Bros. He's just another Mario character. No, everybody respects the Green Dino, as they should. He was one of the coolest new additions to Galaxy 2. Kind of the defining feature that really set it apart from the first game. He was in Mario Sunshine, which is, you know, divisive, both the game and his role in it. I don't know, not his best outing gameplay-wise, but it is pretty fun to squirt juice on enemies with him. And as a kid, there was nothing quite like those Yoshi levels in New Super Mario Bros. Wii. It really made me long for the ability to play as him in every level. He was a wonderful surprise in Mario Odyssey, and a decent alternate option to play as in Wonder. I really like him in Mario 64 DS for some reason. He's just super unique compared to the other characters. And then obviously he appears in every Mario spin-off under the sun. Like, I think it's required by law for Yoshi to be in every spin-off. Congress enacted the bill during the 2000s, probably. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. Yoshi is just the best. He's Patrick's favorite Mario character. He would always main him in Smash, and every Mario spin-off for that matter. It's just really hard to find anything bad to say about Yoshi. Like, the number 4 slot is very well deserved. I think he could have done better if all the votes for the different colored Yoshis were considered alongside main Yoshi. Like, maybe if I add all those up, he could have overtaken the number 3 character. But this is still really good, and I'm glad people got to express which specific color of Yoshi is their favorite. Now for the 3rd most popular Mario character of all time. Now seems like a great time to say, just as a disclaimer, these results are not definitive proof that a character is superior to the ones they got more votes for, or even if these results are applicable to average people in the real world. And let's also remember that these votes are an expression of how many people like a character without taking into account negative votes against that character. Because boy is this guy the most divisive character in the top 10. But with that said, even if you hate him, you absolutely cannot deny that his fan base is massive. With 9,061 votes, the third most popular character in the Mario series, more popular than Peach, Daisy, Rosalina, Donkey Kong, Toad, Yoshi, and Mario himself, it is none other than Waluigi! So I'm extremely happy with these results. Waluigi is my personal favorite Mario character of all time. And you know, there were people in the comments when I announced this poll that said, "Oh, you people better not vote for Waluigi. That's so Reddit." And I got a few votes that were like, Waluigi, but I swear I'm not a Redditor, I just like him. I feel like we really gotta grow up and stop using Reddit as an insult, especially when it really doesn't apply. Like, terminally online feels much more appropriate to describe the Waluigi fan base, not Reddit in particular. I don't know, you really have to be terminally online to fully appreciate Waluigi in my opinion. Which may be why he ranks so insanely high. Because I'm sure most people who voted for this poll are very online compared to the average person. But with that said, in real life, I know a lot of people who love Waluigi. Like, it's impossible to deny just what a weird, crazy idea he is in general. And it all goes back to Mario Tennis on the N64. It's always Mario Tennis on the N64. This game didn't just revive forgotten characters like Daisy and Birdo. No, it straight up invented Waluigi as a doubles partner for Wario. I don't know what Camelot was cooking with, but oh boy did they cook. Because he instantly left an impression and got brought into everything. He was the main villain of Mario Party 3's story mode, which was pretty crazy. I believe he was the main villain of Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix as well, as insane of a sentence as that is. But yeah, aside from those, he hasn't really had a major role in anything. He's never appeared in a mainline Mario game, he's pretty much just there on the roster in spin-offs. And I know that people hated him back in the day. They thought he was a joke, a waste of space, just a lazy and unoriginal character who brings nothing to the Mario series as a whole. And then something shifted. Like, during the 2010s, with the growth of the modern internet as we know it, a lot of people really came around on him. I think a lot of it is owed to Brawl in the Family, the Nintendo webcomic where he's just extremely unhinged and easily the most unforgettable character in it. But it's also a matter of just really getting used to him being around. To the point where Mario Kart 7 rolls around, and for some reason, he's just cut from the roster, even though Waluigi Pinball was a race course in the game. It's like, where's Waluigi, Nintendo? I feel like a lot of people didn't know what they had until it was gone with him. Like, yeah, he's weird and unoriginal, but damn it feels wrong not having him playable. Then he came back in Mario Kart 8, and that wasn't really an issue anymore. But yeah, I feel like his star has just been meteorically rising for a couple years now. Because I think the fact that he's so intentionally lame and stupid conceptually is precisely what makes him the funniest Mario character in the main cast. Like, the fact that we all have to speculate on who is this guy, what is his relationship with Wario, what beef does he have with Luigi? Couple all of that with his delightful, unhinged voice lines, and you got a character who, for someone accused of lacking identity for so many years, ironically has come to have one of the most distinct identities and personalities in the entire Mario series. It honestly did not surprise me that he outranked Wario. Though, I'll admit, it did surprise me that he got third place. That's a little bit kooky. But hey, you won't find me complaining. I was definitely one of the Waluigi haters when I was younger. I thought he was extremely stupid and pointless. But yeah, over the course of the 2010s, I warmed up to him so much that he ended up becoming my main in basically any spin-off he's in. Like, I can't remember the last time I didn't pick Waluigi in Mario Party, for real. And like, sure, Waluigi is my most wanted newcomer for Smash, not just because I love how insane his character is, but also because it just feels weird having basically the entire main roster of Mario characters playable in Smash, except for him. I mean, I guess there's Toad as well, but you know, Toad is fine where he is. I don't really buy a single argument against Waluigi getting in. Like, lack of moveset potential is not a factor for any character, considering Rob and the Duck Hunt dog are in. Relevancy? I mean, he's like famous. Normal people on the street know who Waluigi is. Whenever I play Smash with casual gamers who don't play a lot of video games, they ask me pretty often, where's Waluigi on this roster? He has a huge amount of appeal. And as for the argument that that's too many Mario characters, dude, Piranha Plant. Dude, Dr. Mario. Dude, Mario is the most prolific franchise in all of gaming. I think it deserves a lot of reps. I would honestly be shocked if it didn't happen in the next game after all the outcry. But with that said, I do want to acknowledge that a lot of his negative reputation probably does stem from how annoying Waluigi for Smash fans are. Like, guys, chill out. If you harass Sakurai over something so trivial and pointless as a character being playable in a video game, then I hate to say it, but you are, in fact, Reddit. I don't know, I kind of gave up during the entire Smash Ultimate DLC cycle from the moment he was announced as an assist trophy. But with all that said, I am the #1 supporter of him getting in next time. I don't think it's copium. I think he's objectively one of the characters that would get the most people talking. At least out of the remaining first-party picks. With all that said, give it up for Waluigi, the 3rd most popular Mario character. Again, don't take this poll as gospel or anything, but I'm sure some people will, and they're gonna be molding over this, which is kind of funny to think about. Alright, we're down to the final 2. So, without further ado, coming in with a score of 9,624 votes, the runner-up for the favorite Mario character of all time is the King of Koopas himself, Bowser. This is completely unsurprising to me that Bowser did this well. He's easily one of the most beloved and iconic characters in the series, for so many reasons. Much like Wario, I really feel like he benefits from how versatile he is. Like, you can do anything with Bowser. You can have him be legitimately scary and intimidating, like in Mario Galaxy or Bowser's Fury. You can have him be a goofy, hilarious villain, like in a lot of the Mario RPGs where he's the main antagonist. Or you can have him be a fun, reluctant ally to Mario, like he is in the original Mario RPG or Super Paper Mario. And then of course, you have Mario Kart, where it's just fun to see him racing against Mario and acting like nothing happened between them in the platformers. Or the Mario Party games, where he's often a hilarious nuisance that makes things worse for everyone on the board. It's just crazy how wide and all-encompassing Bowser's character is, and how diverse the kind of roles he can fill in a game are. And none of them ever feel out of character. It's like, whether he's trying to kill you or reluctantly on your side, Bowser is always distinctly Bowser. Another great thing about him is he's so often the character who gets the best writing in the game he's in. Like in the platformers, the heroes don't really talk that much, but Bowser pretty much always has something to say, and it's usually really funny and charming dialogue. But mainly though, I'm talking about the RPGs. Like, he is so funny in every single one he's in that isn't Sticker Star. And that applies both to ones where he's the main villain, like Paper Mario 64, or ones where he's just hanging out and doing his own thing, like Thousand Year Door or Superstar Saga. And of course, there's also Bowser's Inside Story. Kind of the closest thing he has to his own game. Which, yeah, I think I better start playing it after I'm done with this video, honestly. And while the RPGs are probably his strongest showing as a character, he's also just extremely hard to top as a villain in the platformers. Like, you never really get tired of Bowser. Maybe the whole kidnapping Peach plotline has worn out its welcome a bit, but me personally, I never really want them to replace Bowser as the main antagonist. Not even for one game, man. I prefer original villains in the RPGs, obviously. I think Bowser's more interesting in his various supporting roles in those. But damn it, I always love facing off against Bowser at the end of an epic mainline platformer. And it's nice to have games like 3D World or Wonder where he does things other than kidnap Peach. It definitely makes his character a little stronger and more interesting. Even if it's just a matter of not making him an obsessive simp as much. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Just the appeal of Bowser is immensely clear. He's probably the main Mario character with the most dialogue and the most distinct personality. So obviously he has a lot of chances to leave an impression on people. And boy does he ever. He's so funny, so likable, so charming, and yet so satisfying to take down again and again. I adore Bowser, and statistically speaking, so do you probably. Well, friendos, we've reached the end of this insanely long road. At last, it is time to reveal the fan favorite, most popular Mario character of all time. You already know who it is. And to be honest, not only did I expect this going in, but I could tell 15 minutes into the results pouring in for the poll that, oh yeah, no one's gonna beat him. With that said, when all was said and done, I wasn't surprised by who came in first place at all. But what I was surprised by is how massive of a gap there is between him and everyone else. Like, he decimated every other character and won in an absolute landslide I could not have ever seen coming. So, without further ado, with 17,310 votes, the most popular Mario character of all time is Luigi. So, if you're curious, he got 7,696 more votes than Bowser in second place, which I'm just profoundly shocked by. Once again, I knew he was popular, but this is just a staggering level of popularity that I still haven't fully processed. But yeah, be honest, are you surprised that he's number one at all? Luigi not only has the benefit of having nearly as much exposure as Mario, being playable in almost every game that Mario is also in, with a couple big exceptions like some of the 3D platformers. Even so, Luigi is not only playable in virtually everything else, but I feel like he's just the inherently cooler option to pick. You know? Like, Mario is the default character you play as, so there's this inherent coolness in actively choosing to play as Luigi. Like, you're not just playing as the normal Italian plumber, you went out of your way to pick the awesomer, tall, green one. And this especially gets drilled in because often you have to unlock Luigi. So playing as him feels like a reward for all your hard work. Even after 12 full playthroughs of Mario Galaxy throughout my life, nothing in gaming quite hits that same high as seeing the words, "You can now play as Luigi," and hearing, "Super Luigi Galaxy." Like, the amount of serotonin that gives me cannot be overstated. Luigi being playable in a mainline game, especially a 3D one, is enough to perk up everyone's interest. To the point where his exclusion from Mario 64 caused so many rumors for literal decades about whether or not he was actually in the game somewhere, resulting in the discovery of his planned model for the game during that huge Giga Leak in 2020. It's like, what other character in the series can spawn this level of speculation and excitement over their inclusion in something? But I think aside from the cool factor of him being the alternate choice compared to Mario, the thing that really makes Luigi way more popular than his brother is the fact that he definitely has a lot more of a distinct personality. I know I said that Mario does have one, but in comparison, Luigi has just got so much more to work with. Like, he is distinctly both a big sweetheart and a fraidy cat. But it's really inspiring to see him put his fears aside and have a bunch of heroic moments in all sorts of games. I also think the main advantage he has over Mario in terms of showing personality is that he usually has dialogue in games. Like, Mario usually stays silent, but Luigi gets to talk in stuff like Mario Galaxy or the Paper Mario games. He doesn't talk too much in Mario and Luigi, but I feel like he generally gets more moments to shine than Mario does in that series. At least from what I've seen of the later games. And of course, we gotta mention Luigi's Mansion. This is the one that really spawned that scaredy cat persona that continues throughout the rest of the series to a lesser extent. But in addition to that, there are so many great little bits with him in these games that are so expressive and so charming despite the fact that he never has any dialogue in them. Like his victory celebrations in 2 and 3. The way he sings along to that music that goes Yahoo, 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 Yahoo. It's like, come on, this man is charm overload. It's hard to overstate the cultural hold he has. Like, once again, he's just as famous as Mario, pretty much. But it just feels like he's given way more moments to shine as his own distinct character. He doesn't bear that burden of having to be the mascot of an entire company. So as a result, a lot of people are able to latch onto him as a character they can really form a connection to. So it is completely unsurprising to me that he is the most popular Mario character of all time. He was my personal favorite for a while there. Now he's a close second to Waluigi, with Rosalina not being too far behind, in third place for me personally. Honestly, I'm pretty happy all my faves made it into the top 5. But yeah, I think it's really cool for a character that the series kinda jokingly mistreats, with a lot of NPCs in various games claiming that he's not nearly as popular or successful as his brother, to end up in reality being over 3 times as popular and well-loved within the results of this poll. Like, that's just pretty heartwarming in all honesty. And Nintendo, if you're watching this video, I think the main takeaway you guys should learn from this is that the people yearn for another year of Luigi. Do it again. I think it would actually be a really great idea in a year where your main console is not the Wii U. I think that was the problem that year, not celebrating Luigi. So that was the Mario character popularity poll. Thank you so much to all 32,000 of you who voted. Thanks to Jonathan for combing through all this data with me and whipping up all these Excel functions. Thanks to the editors who worked on this, especially Yinsid, who did the bulk of the video, which is a pretty insane feat. Go show him some love and check out his channel and all the editors' channels in the description. And yeah, I would love to do this sort of thing again with another series, because even though it was a lot of work and probably won't be profitable for me overall, I think getting these results and sharing them with the Mario community was absolutely worth it. To wrap up, we put together a couple lists of various categories, like all the Paper Mario partners ranked, all the Mario Kart characters ranked, etc. based on these results, since it's cool to visualize all that. So please enjoy. Play me out, Ludwig.